Let's record, get this thing going. All right, we're recording. Welcome to the SC2 6K and 10K Alliance meeting. How's everybody doing today?
Yeah.
Doing good? All right, well, I'm fired up. My name's Nick Matlack. I'm the division manager, and this is the Super Bowl of all Super Bowls. I am super excited about this contest and opportunity. You definitely want to have your notes out. We have an action-packed agenda for you. You want to have your schedule out. You want to be prepared to learn and listen and really commit. This is the opportunity for you to literally change your life. We're going to talk about how push is life-changing. Here's the deal. Why the heck do we have push weeks? Well, there's a lot of benefits behind it, and I want to thank you first off for investing into your future, investing in the best version of yourself. I wish that you guys were one training class, but man, it's exciting to sit at the front and see all these smiling faces. But this meeting is the most exciting meeting for me to run because this is the biggest contest and biggest competition for the whole year. Just by a show of hands, raise your hand if this is your first summer working. Raise your hand if this is your first summer with our company. Anybody like that? Not working, but I mean with Vector, right? Working with Vector. So a lot of you, right? I'd say probably 90% of the group, this is the first time going through one of these meetings. So you don't even know what to expect. But we have an action-packed agenda. I'm going to review it. We're going to look through it. And I got to tell you that SC2 Push is the Super Bowl of the year. It is the biggest event, the biggest contest. Our company throws thousands of dollars into prizes and contests and incentives to motivate you and incentivize you to finish the summer strong, to make a ton of money, to grow personally, professionally, and financially, and to really become the best version of yourself. So if you're taking down notes, I want you to write down the push equals growth. So altogether, push equals what? Growth, right? It's all about growing. It's not about the sales number. It's not about the money that you make. It's about the growth that you're going to experience personally, professionally, and financially, right? Hey, Alexa, stop. All right. So this event is where all the money is on the table. This event is where all the reps go big after it. There's nothing really to stop you. There's no holidays. There's no graduations happening anymore, right? There's a lot of that stuff that's gotten out of the way. So it's this 18-day window that we've found year after year that people just go crazy for. We make a ton of freaking calls. We make book a ton of demos. We make a ton of freaking money, and it takes us to a whole nother level. Also, because of that, right, you have a division meeting to kick it off coming up on Monday. And then you have an SC2 event down in Austin to go to ahead of time. It's an exciting time of year. I realized that last year during this contest, we had 2 divisions down in South Texas. And those 2 divisions produced 39 people that sold over $10,000 in 10 days. 39 people. If you sold 10K, you didn't even win a trophy. You had to sell 15,000 or more to win a trophy. And the number 1 reps were selling $20,000, $25,000, and $30,000. This year, we've decided to double down on that. And now, instead of 2 divisions going, we're having 5. It's going to be the entire state of Texas, all of Oklahoma, all of Northwest Arkansas. And there's a likely chance that we're going to have over 100 people from all those areas sell over $10,000 in 10 days. There's going to be records broken. There's going to be push competitions that are very, very close. And I can tell you that it is going to be one of the most satisfying opportunities for our office, our division, and all of our reps to make a name for themselves and take down Texas. And this is where it all begins. So again, thank you for being here. I hope you're looking forward to it. And I got to tell you that it doesn't matter where you're at. Some of you in this meeting got invited and you're not even sure why, right? You're sitting here right now and you're like, I don't know why my manager chose me. Well, we don't look at results. We don't look at career sales. We look at work ethic. We look at attitude. We look at communication. We look at potential. I got to tell you that where you are right now in this business has nothing to do with who you are. And as well as has nothing to do with who you can be. I had a guy named Luke Monona-Joby that started with me a couple of years ago, and he was for 3 weeks at less than $1,000 in sales. And he came to me and said, hey, man, I want to be part of the 10K Alliance. I want to be a part of this special group. And I said, I'm sorry, Lukeman, I just don't think you've done the work. And he said, I want to apologize because you're right. I haven't. I haven't applied myself. I haven't followed the program. I haven't followed the process. And that's the reason I haven't done well. But I'm in. He said, put me in, coach. Tell me what I need to do. I'll follow it to a T. But I want to prove myself to you, to my family, to myself. Day 1 of push, he sells $1,400. Day 2 of push sells another $1,000. Lukeman finishes just under $10,000. The number wasn't important, but he grew more in that matter of 18 days than he had in the last few years. And that's a quote from him. What does the best version of yourself look like when you truly apply yourself and truly commit? I want you to write down benefits and whys of going after push. One of the first ones that I always like to put down is the skills that you'll develop. Expansion of your skills to a whole nother level. If you want to get better at recommendations, phoning, closing, or any parts of the business you feel like you're weak at, I'll tell you how. Do more of it. Do more of it. It's about hyper growth. Some of you in this room have yet to have a day where you've accomplished 5 demos in a day. I want to challenge you to think about doing 5 demos every day for multiple days in a row, how much faster you would grow. See, if you only ride a bike 1 day a week, well, you don't get very good at riding that bike, right? But if you ride that bike a couple times a day, every day for a week, how much better do you do? Imagine completing 40 demos in 18 days. Imagine completing 50. Imagine completing 60. For some of you, instead of looking at this sales number and saying, oh, that's scary, some of you should compete on who will complete the most demos. In fact, I'd be more impressed with the person who completed the most demos than the person who sold the most Cutco. Because which person grows more? Which person gets more skills grown, right? Interesting. Better at getting demos, better at getting orders, better at getting big orders, better at getting recommendations and hitting your goals. And that leads me to my second reason that you should go after a big push, and that's confidence. The confidence to know that when you set a goal, and you set your mind to something, you can accomplish it. The confidence of knowing that this job can work for you throughout school, and this can be Cutco for college. The confidence of knowing that you're better than you've ever been, and with less effort, you can earn a lot more. We talked about at the beginning of the training that we want you to grow your confidence in this business. Well, here's the deal. Now training's over, and some of you have lost confidence, right? You've gone out there, you've tried it, the job was humbling. Who here has ever felt like quitting this job? Anybody ever felt like that? Be honest, I have. I still feel like quitting it. There's days when I don't want to come back and it's like, this is outside my comfort zone. I don't know if I want to do that. But I know that a bad day at Vector is better than a great day at an hourly job. And I know that this job is so much more than just a job. It's an opportunity. It's a vehicle that has unlimited potential that you can drive as you like. And you can take advantage of it if you want to, or you can let it take advantage of you. But I can tell you that if you really put in the right work and you put in the right discipline, this job can take you to the levels that you never thought you were capable of. If you were to sell $5,000, $8,000, $10,000, $12,000, right? Would that drive your ability to get things done? Right? If you were making 30% by the time you went back to school, how great would it feel? Even a crappy sale like a piece order, because that's what that would be for you at that point, right? $250, you would make what? A full day's pay in an hour? You thought about that recently? You sell a homemaker, you make rent covered in an hour. You sell one homemaker a month during college, and your rent is covered. You thought about that? Is that worth putting in the sacrifice, the discipline, and the hard work now to be able to earn that later? By the way, one thing you should know about life is that confidence comes through adversity. And you know what? Experience is not something you gain by everything going right. Experience is what happens when things don't go your way. Experience is what you get when you have the tough days, you have the bad demos, you have the tough and frustrating phone calls, and you feel like quitting, but you choose not to, and you come back to it anyway. Does that make sense? Those are decisions that you have to make. And the more that you face those decisions, and the more that you face those crossroads, and the more times you make the right decision, the easier it is to make that decision again in the future. Not just in Vector, guys, I'm talking in life. Because a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, you're not going to know your number. I'm not going to either. But you're going to know the experience that you had, and you're going to know the habits that you developed, and you're going to know the mental tenacity and strength that you're able to develop. By the way, confidence to know that you can make it through anything. Confidence to know that even if things aren't going your way or momentum's not on your side, things will eventually change. My dad always tells me, this too shall pass. Don't worry about it. It's not going to be like this forever. Just keep your head down and keep moving forward. I think about running a marathon. I've run 5 in my life. 26.2 miles. Every single marathon, I have gotten a cramp. Every single marathon, I've had to stop. Every single marathon has been a challenge for me mentally to tell myself, if I just keep moving, I'll keep going. And every single marathon I've finished. Doesn't mean it was easy, but I got it done. That's what push is about for you. Third thing you can write down is it's about experience. It's about being able to put on your resume that you sold $10,000 worth of knives in this 18-day window. Do you realize that they don't know it's Cutco knives? When they think of knives, they think of wooden handles and plastic handles and crap. And they think of, how the heck did you do that? If you can sell 10 grand worth of knives, you can sell anything, right? I'm hiring you. And did you know that sales is a component of any job you'll ever do? You're selling yourself a product, an idea, or a service. What does your resume look like when you can say, I did that at the age of 17, 18, 19, 20? Can you imagine how impressive that looks? I know for myself, I'll be telling my grandkids about why they should work for Vector when they turn the ripe age. I'll be telling them about how I expect them to work their butts off to go after 10K. Whether they hit 10K in their fast start, well, that's irrelevant, but I expect them to put in the work. Because there's no better experience at a young age than this one, in my opinion. Can you imagine breaking records? Can you imagine leaving a legacy, being the top rep, top office, top division in the region? What does that feel like? Being that person who's uncommon, that does something that's not normal, that's not average. Even if you go after it and you don't hit it, you get to put on the resume that you were a part of the 40 Demo Alliance. You get to put on your resume that you worked your butt off and did what others won't and what others didn't. Experience of learning what work really is. Experience of understanding that your life is easier in the future when you commit to a push like this. Experience for the management opportunity. Experience for the events team qualification. We'll talk about a lot of that later. By the way, I could keep going on and on and on, but you know what? Experience trumps anything else I'm going to say. Now, the next big one is the thing that all of you want to know about, and that's money, right? And you can put that down. Money. Who's ready to make the biggest paycheck of their life? Anybody fired up for that? Yeah. Who's ready to go out there and make a bigger paycheck than mom and dad? Yes? Who would like to make a bigger paycheck than your friend's entire summer income was? Would you like that? Having a 1 week paycheck bigger than the entire summer income? I mean, we've already got guys on our team right now that have sold enough to make $2,000 paychecks, $3,000 paychecks, right? But what would it feel like for you to get your first Comma Club paycheck, or to not have a paycheck below a comma for the next 3 weeks in a row? That's possible. See, I know the products are already made. I know that people are already out there. They've got the money and they want the products, right? The real question is, will we put the puzzle together fast enough? That's the real question. Are we willing to work hard enough to get it done in the time frame that we've given ourselves? I think about the money. Let's look at this opportunity. You realize that even if you're doing zero right now, or if you're at zero in career sales now and you sell 10K in 18 days, you realize you make $2,000. If you're at 3K right now and you sold 10K in the next 18 days, you make, right, a total of $2,500. And if you're already at $10,000 right now at 30%, you sold 10K, you make $3,000. You know the average income of a college kid in America with an hourly job, 40 hours a week, 40 hours a week, 12 weeks out of the summer after taxes are taken out, is less than $3,000. You could make that in the next 18 days. By the way, what if you sold more than 10? What if you sold 12.5? What if you sold 15? What if you sold $30,000? What if you were the number one rep that was new last year and that new rep did $35,000? You realize that there was an 18-year-old last year down in Texas, $35,000 in 18 days. What if that was you? What if you knew that they had 5K orders and 10K orders coming your way? How much more would you commit? How much bigger would your goals be if you knew that that was possible? I'm going to share with you something right now about prizes. I want to make sure you guys see this, and it's pretty exciting. The last big thing that you can write down that it's about is growth. Growth. What would it do for your mental and emotional growth? What would it do for you to sell $6,000 to $10,000 in 18 days? What it would do for you as a person to make sure that you realize that, hey, you started a job 1 month and the next month you were the best of the best at it. Would that help you with school? Would that help you with your studies? Would that help you with your relationships? Would that help you with your life? What would it do for you to realize that you have the capacity to have 5 horrible days and still survive and break through? We're going to talk about expectations in a bit, but this summer is about being the most skilled, the most confident, the most gifted, the most influential, and the most wealthy college kid that you can be. If you're not in college yet, let's get you wealthy before you get to college, huh? By the way, your friends are too cool to work with us, and they keep telling you about how crappy this job is. Nobody buys those expensive knives, right? Adversity, negativity, nagging. Who knows somebody that doesn't believe in you with this job? Anybody know somebody like that still? Even after your paycheck, right? Quentin's raising his hand. By the way, Quentin sold $10,000 in his first 10 days and made $2,000, and he still has people that are telling him you shouldn't work there. Go and get a real job. People still ask me 13 years later, when are you going to get a real job? And I'm like, when real jobs pay better. So don't want to be just over broke. That's what job stands for. Let me stick with this one, right? I'd much rather have an opportunity than a job. That's what keeps me here. Proving those people wrong, it's pretty exciting to think about. The organization, you're going to be dominating your future opportunity in and out of this company. I hope that you understand that, right? So here's the deal. We're looking for workers for this push. We're not looking for sales reps. What does true work ethic look like? That's what this push is about. This push is about testing your potential, testing your mental state, testing your tenacity to see how bad you want it. I want you to write this down. Are you interested or are you committed? Are you interested or are you committed? I'm going to bring up the prizes. I'm going to bring up a couple of the agendas and things like that. But are you interested or are you committed? See, people that are interested in things get pretty interesting results. People who are committed to things get what they want. And I'll tell you that when it comes down to it, if you truly commit to the process and you truly commit to the journey, of this experience, you'll blow your mind of what you're actually capable of. But it's a decision that you have to make. So I'm going to go ahead and share this real quick so that everybody can see it on the video. And what I want to talk a little bit more about is the prizes. If you haven't seen this yet, or your manager hasn't given you the privilege of checking it out and seeing it, it's pretty awesome. And this is the SC2 push period prizes for our representatives that choose to go bigger than 10. We'll start down here at the bottom. You sell 12.5, you win an Amazon Echo Plus or a $100 Amazon gift card or a K-Bar Explorer or a 4-piece stainless table knife set. You do 15K for push, you're winning a Yeti Tundra, or you're winning AirPods, or you're winning Beats, some other cool wireless headphones, or you're winning an Essentials Plus 5. By the way, 20K push right here, Nintendo Switch or a virtual reality bundle, or you can get a 49-inch 4K Ultra HD TV, or you can just get your own Homemaker Plus 8. Yes, legit Homemaker Plus 8 in the wood block. You pick the color. Anybody want a red Homemaker? You want that. By the way, 25,000, and you're winning an Apple Watch Series 4, a 55-inch HD TV, or the entire flatware stainless chest. 30K for push, 65-inch TV, or you can go ahead and get an MS Service laptop, or you can go ahead and get a signature set. And it says break a region SC2 push record and win, right, any of the 30K prizes, plus you get a region manager lined out with Lloyd Reagan. Jordan Zeal did $51,000 in 2013. She was a new rep. You realize going into that, she wasn't even at $30,000 in sales, and she sold $51,000. How big are you thinking? This was an 18-year-old girl back in 2013. That's when the price of the Homemaker was a lot less. $59,000 is by a CSP, Chelsea Rodriguez, last year, 2018. She's going to be at our SC2 event. Some of you heard her speak at SC1. Check this out. She did 59 grand in 18 days. My point is, how big are you thinking with all these different activities, right? Pretty exciting to consider for yourself. All right, let me figure out how I can change this. Oh, lovely. All right, hold on. Now I got to figure out how to stop my share. There we go. Got it. All right. So here's some things to write down, right? If you want to go after this, what are some of the other benefits? We haven't talked about this yet. Well, I want you to write this down. 6K equals dinner at Fogo de Chao. If you're going down to Austin on August 3rd, okay, after the conference is over, around 8 o'clock at night, you got one of two options. Option A, stay at the hotel, right? Everyone's staying in the hotel, but you would go and feed yourself. Option B is sell 6K for push, and you're going out to Fogo de Chao. And Quentin can tell you about how delicious that kind of meal is. Brazilian Grill restaurant, right? They bring around all the meat on a stick, cut it onto your plate, and you just keep eating until you're full. It's unbelievable, right? All-inclusive meal just from us. You can write down 10K for push. We're not going on a limo. You sell 10K for push, and you're going out on a houseboat on Lake Travis the next day on the 4th. Pretty exciting for you for sure. Now realize that the morning of the 4th is going to be the events team training for anybody over 15,000 in career sales by that point. And again, if you sold 10K for push, you're going out on the boat. Now, there's probably going to be over 100 different people that are out on this boat at Lake Travis. It's going to be a blast. We want you there. Cool? So those are some of the prizes that you can win, some of the things that you can look forward to for sure. So that being said, I'm going to give you a few tips about the 10K push mentality, some things to write down. Before I do want to let you guys know that it's very important when it comes down to this. I'm going to exit this right here, that you guys know about some of the process that we're going to be going through. And actually, I will refrain from that for now. I'm just going to give you these tips, and then we'll jump into our Alliance agenda. So the first thing that you can jot down, this is what I call the 10K push mentality. Cool? So 10K push mentality. You're going to hear this over and over and over again. Some of you are going to get sick of this meeting because you're going to hear things 3, 4, 5 times from different speakers. But you know what? If you're hearing it over and over again, that's a good thing. Broken record, and I believe that you have to hear things 3 times to actually learn them. The first time you hear it, you're like, oh, that's important, but I'm probably going to forget. The second time you hear it, you're like, oh, I've heard this before. Maybe it really is important, right? And the third time you hear it, you're smart enough to actually listen to it and learn it. Sound good? So again, if you hear things over and over again, that's just more reason why those are important and why they should be beneficial. Number one thing, 10K push mentality, is knowing your whys. I just went through a big list of whys. Experience, money, goals, right? Resume, growth, whatever it may be. But do you know your really compelling whys? Because here's the truth. When you know your whys and they're strong enough, you'll find a way to get the job done. Right? Tyler Daniels loves this quote, but you can have your reason, or you can have your results, or you can have your excuses, but you can't have both. Right? So what's it going to be for you? How compelling are your whys? How bad do you really want it? The difference of being interested versus committed, and knowing what resonates with you. Raise your hand if you're money motivated. Anybody money motivated? Well, if you're money motivated, then that's probably a big reason. But you can't write down earning $2,000 or earning $5,000. You know what you need to write down? What are you going to do with that $5,000? That's what you need to write down. It's not a money motivator for you. It's about what the money's for. Does that make sense? If you're money motivated, I want you to know how much of that you're going to save, how much of that you're going to spend on debt, how much of that you're going to spend on whatever it is that you're money motivated by. Money can never be the motivation because money is just an object. Money is just something that we've all decided as a community and as a society that there's value in. Does that make sense? At the end of the day, it's just special paper and metal. Can we agree? That holds value. It's just a value place. That's all. So really what you need to say is I'm motivated by money because of what the money's going to be for. And then you make that big list. You already budgeted out. See, if you sat there and you said 1,000 to be saved, 1,000 down payment on a car, 2,000 towards school, and then another 1,000 to live off of during the semester, you'd be so much more willing to make that $5,000 versus just saying, I want to make $5,000 because it sounds cool. You with me on that? Who here is experience motivated? Who wants a lot of experience? Who wants that? Well, you can't write down just experience. You got to write down specific types of experience, right? The experience of having bad days and still smiling at the end of it. The experience of getting your teeth kicked in by the Miss Jones. The experience of having 5 demos in a day and completing none. That's where you really grow. That's where the true character of an individual can be found. It's not about when you have the good days. It's easy to feel good when everything went good, right? You with me on that? Okay. And the last motivator that a lot of people have is just work ethic. Right? Hey, what am I capable of? Who wants to test themselves and see what your true potential is? Anybody want that? Like, hey, what am I really capable of if I decide to commit? That's what's exciting for me. And that uncertainty for most people is fearful and scary. I love uncertainty because you know what I've learned? That Vector teaches us about life. The only thing that's certain in life is that life is uncertain. So if you take a job on like this that has a lot of uncertainty, that's brilliant because it's giving you practice for life. Everything you're going to go through for the next 18 days is not going to be the hardest thing that you'll ever do. It might be the hardest thing you've ever done up until this point, but not the hardest thing you'll ever do in your life. And that being said, well, it's all about those whys, getting back to those, and on the bad days, those bring you back. Sound good? Number 2, you can write down is about the power of commitment. It's about the power of commitment. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean about following through with what you said you're going to do long after the feeling of doing it is gone. The power of commitment, saying you're going to do something and following through with those actions. See, in a business like ours, you can't control your results, but you can definitely control your actions and your attitude. So keep that in mind for yourself. Number 3, you can write down is the importance and the power of discipline. Self-discipline. Think about the discipline to do the things even when you don't feel like doing them. And think about how those relate to your studies, your grades, your relationships. Think about how those relate to your success. You can't get to success if you don't go through failure. So the importance of discipline. Another thing you can write down is go big mentality. The understanding that if your goals don't scare you, they are not big enough. And the understanding that if you're sitting here right now thinking I can definitely do 6, then you better be shooting for 12. And if you're thinking I think I could do 10, Nick, then you better be shooting for 20. What is the real purpose of a goal? It's not to hit the goal. The real purpose of a goal is to stretch your comfort zone and to go after something that you previously thought was impossible. And if you shoot for something like 10 and you fall short, you still get to 8, not 6. You shoot for something like 20 and you fall short, you still get to 12 or 15, not 10. Does that make sense? Under goals, I always talk to people about 3 goals: must do, should do, and could do. What is the bare minimum standard that you're going to set? It's not even a goal. It's like, if I don't even get to this, I got bigger problems to worry about. Does that make sense? That might be whatever your initial goal was, 6 or 10. But then what's the could do and what's the should do? It's easy to think about what if things don't go my way. What's more challenging is what if things do go my way? What if everything goes right? Next thing is about taking risks. That's another big 10K mentality. It's about taking the risk. It's about getting rejected. It's about getting failure and then experiencing it and liking it and looking at it and smiling in the face of that adversity and saying, yeah, bring it on. That's what it's about. True champions, true successful people, they're not afraid to take risks. Or if they are afraid, they take them anyway. Here's another thing you can jot down. It's about facing your fears head on. Whatever your fears are right now. My fear of failure. My fear of success. Right? That's a thing. Right? My fear of becoming a better version of me. My fear of other people expecting more from me because now I've shown that I can do it. Whatever your fears are, it's about facing those fears and taking them head on. It's about eliminating excuses. We've already discussed that, right? That's a big one. eliminating your excuses. And it's about proving yourself to others, but most importantly, proving yourself to who? What? Yourself. Proving yourself to you. Proving yourself right. It's about running your own race. It's about doing whatever it takes and never giving up. It's about being ready for whatever happens. It's about intense weeks ahead, eating, breathing, sleeping, dreaming, Cutco. It's about understanding why push is good for your future. You're going to have to grow in your life. So what would you rather grow by? Choice or by force? You ever thought about that? If you know that you're going to have to grow up, if you know you're going to have to get better, then what would you rather grow by? Choice or force? I would much rather grow by choice. And that's what push is all about. It's about choosing to do the uncommon, choosing to do the not normal, right? So that you can grow, so that when you're expected to be that grown person, you don't have to grow by force. You get to grow already because you chose to, and you're more prepared. School's not hard after you've gone through a big push. It's not. It's not overwhelming. It's not difficult because you know how to manage your time. You know how to manage your emotions. You know how to manage your mindset. You know how to manage your behaviors and your actions. You guys with me on that? That's the stuff that really counts. That's the stuff that really matters. So I hope that that's a good list for you and fires you up. I want to highlight the agenda that we're about to go through. It's pretty action-packed and exciting. I also want to highlight a couple of activities that we're going to be running soon, and then we will go ahead and dive into our first speaker. First thing I want to do is go through the agenda. I want to show this to you. It's pretty exciting. Here it is. We've got myself with the opening comments. We've got Bailey Homan talking about the 10K push mentality. We've got Claire talking about 10K push prep. Britton about 10K push execution. We have John DeCino, the 10K guide. And we will wrap up with Melissa, and Carlton. By the way, Marissa and Carlton are both $1 million reps. They sold over $1 million of the Cutco. Most of these guys have had 20, 30, 40K pushes. It's pretty exciting. And of course, Melissa's going to be helping you build your list. I will do the wrap up and we'll be out of here by 7 o'clock. So I hope you're fired up for that. It's going to be an action-packed, very, very content-driven agenda. We'll do a little bit of standing and stuff like that for stretch breaks. But man, it's just going to be intense, forward, and focused. Sound good? All right. Next big thing that I want to show real quick is I want to share a little bit more about a couple of events that we have coming up. And if you want to bust out your calendars, that's a good thing for you to do right now. You guys will get one of these handouts. And if you can help me real quick, hand out one of these to everybody, that would be great. Thank you much. All right. So let me bring up a couple of things and we'll bring up our first speaker. The first thing that we're going to have is we're going to have half-day call days. And this is kind of like a slingshot. You have to pull it back, few steps back to go a few steps forward, right? And it makes a really big difference. So moving forward, what I want to show you is a little bit more about things to look forward to. The first thing that we have is our half-day call days. And these are a great time to set your expectations. Just so you guys know, typically it takes 1 hour of calls for every one demo you want to get completed for push. So if you put in 10 hours of phone calls, you're going to have 10 guaranteed demos. 20 hours of phone calls, 20 guaranteed demos, right? So you got to look at this and understand Friday, July 13th, in most of our offices, we are having a half-day call day. Now, what is that? Come into an environment of success, make 50 minutes of calls, take a 10-minute break. Make 50 minutes of calls, take a 10-minute break. Higher level accountability, higher level culture, higher level work ethic and discipline, and higher level results. Make sense? Your goal, if you're on the 6K Alliance, is to come to 3 out of 4 of these. If you're on the 10K Alliance, to come to all 4. And again, if you can't make one, well, what are you going to do to make up for it? And adjust your calendar, adjust your schedule. Friday, July 13th, 3 to 8. Saturday, July 14th, 10 to 3. Sunday, the 15th, 3 to 8. And Monday, the 16th, 5 to 9. By the way, if you add up the hours for that, that would be a total of almost 20 hours of phone time. 1 hour of calls versus 1 demo booked, you got 20 demos ahead. Now, how great does it feel to be at Monday's division meeting, right? Knowing you're about to go in the biggest contest of your life, knowing they have 5, 10, 15, or 20 demos already booked for push. What does it feel like for day 1 of push to already have 5 or 6 demos booked up? Day 2 of push, already have 4 demos booked up, right? Can you imagine how much more confident you are about going after these big numbers and these big goals, right? It's pretty exciting to think about and to look forward to. The second big thing that I want to talk about is alliances. And you guys are on Zoom right now. I'm going to be on Zoom every morning, Monday through Saturday for the entire push period. And I'm going to show you what that looks like right now. We're going to have what we call our alliance meetings. And you can either join in person at the office, especially if you're out of the pilot. I would highly recommend that. And if you're not out of the pilot, you can do this jumping on to Zoom. So every morning we are going to promote showing up at 7:45. So you're going to show up at what time? 7:45, right? If you're on the 3K Alliance, you want to pick 2 of these days a week. If you're on the 6K Alliance, you want to pick 4 of these days a week. And if you're on the 10K Alliance, you should be on it 6 days a week. Now, every morning we're going to talk about highs and lows, and then also every morning we're going to give you a workshop on a different topic on the business. We're going to teach you some higher level sales skills, and then right after that, we're going to give you an opportunity to jump on the phones, right? So from 8 to about 8:20, we're going to have some inspirational videos, some really cool content, and then at 8:20, you're expected to jump on the phone and phone into your first demo. Now, if your first demo is at 10 o'clock, perfect timing. Get in the office early at 8 a.m., right? Make phone calls until 9:30, book a couple more, and then you got 30 minutes of drive time, get a pineapple, buy some fruit, go to your first demo, right? 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 8 o'clock. There's actually time to do an average of about 6 demos a day every day. Now, 6 times 18 would equal 108 demos. So when I think about doing 3K as 20 demos, doing 6K as 30 demos, and doing 10K as 40 demos, you could literally be out of town for a week and still accomplish 40 demos. So my question to you is, what happens if you did 50 or 60 or 70? What happened to you if you actually got close to that 100 demo number? Can you imagine that? And more importantly, can you imagine how many referrals you would have from that? So again, in the office, and again, go to your office, even if you're not here in Edmond, right? Because it's a much better culture and community and brotherhood and sisterhood to be a part of this. And then Breakfast of Champions. I know in the pilot, we're gonna have a different person sign up to bring breakfast every morning. So you bring breakfast one morning, and every other morning you come, you basically are getting free breakfast, which is pretty cool. We're also gonna have a skills workshop and a phone jam, and there is the expectations, breaking it down below that. So I don't wanna take up too much more of our time before we dive into our first speaker, but I definitely wanted to make sure that those expectations were set for you and that you're fired up about that. Now, are you fired if you don't show up to these? No. Are you dropped from the Lions if you don't show up to them? No. But what I will tell you is that you're limiting your ability to reach your potential. Does that make sense? Be a student, commit to the process, and I'll tell you that if you commit to the process of going through those Alliance meetings every day, Monday through Saturday, all the way through your push, and you don't reach your goal, at least you look back and you can feel proud of what you did and have no regrets, right? But if you treat this job like a hobby, it's going to pay you like a hobby. You treat this job like an actual career, and you'll be blown away. It'll pay you like a CEO. Does that make sense? And that's what this push is all about. It's about really going big for all those different disciplines and things as you build forward and get excited. Sound good? All right. Questions or concerns on that? All right, sweet. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the first speaker on our agenda. And for today, that is going to be our one and only Bailey Homan. So Bailey, I'm going to keynote whatever this is on your side so that everybody can see you, and we'll highlight that for you. And I definitely want you to bust out your notes. If anybody knows how to really come back from having bad days or having bad starts, it is Bailey. And I'll tell you that this guy is so resilient. He is so resourceful. He is so adaptable and flexible. I've never seen somebody that doesn't like Bailey, right? Everybody loves him. Everybody looks up to him. He's somebody that just has this ability to connect with anyone. And Bailey has been through a lot of different push periods. Bailey is also somebody that was my pilot manager for 2 years and led us to 2 growth years, a $1.5 million year and then a $1.8 million year. And when I initially promoted to an assistant manager, it was the day that he came in and tried to quit on me. So I can tell you that it doesn't matter where you're at in the business right now. I promise you that if you commit to a big push, you'd be amazed at how it can change your life. So Bailey, you are up, and we're fired up for you. Take it away, my friend. And I'm going to go ahead and put you as the pinned video for everybody. And the floor is yours. So let's go ahead and give Bailey a big round of applause. Welcome up. All right.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. Everybody hear me okay?
We're good. Yep. Good to go.
Awesome. Well, Nick halfway did my speech. So as long as you took notes on that, you should be good. No, I'm just playing. But I'm going to go into a little bit more depth on each and every one of the things that he talked about and just tell you a little bit more stories of reps that I've had and coached through their 10K pushes. I personally have not done a 10K push because when I got promoted into my first summer, I was the Dom. And so I had some really big proving to do, being able to just level it up. I've never been through a conference. I'd never, really helped anyone to be able to do this. And so my mentality going into it at the beginning was, I'm nervous, I'm scared. I don't necessarily know what's going on because I've never done it before. And so the first thing that I would write down for yourself is, how do you view a push? How do you view this push? Are you dreading it? Are you nervous? Are you excited? Are you scared? But how do you view this push? And write that down for yourself. Every one of you are going to view it a little bit differently. Some of you are nervous about going into this push because you've never done it before. Some of you are like, let's freaking go. I'm ready to go out there and make $5,000, $10,000 in a matter of the next 18 days. some of you in here are nervous about even being able to complete 20 appointments because of whatever life is happening. But the way that you view your push is going to very effective or help you affect the push and your performance of what you're going to be able to do. So change the way you're viewing it if you're looking at it as a negative, as a stressor or whatever, and look about it as, how can I make this the best push of my life? How can I go out there and challenge myself to grow in the best possible way? So what I want to talk about too is, just like Nick said, is knowing your whys. Well, some of you guys now know what your whys are and what he was able to put down, but you've got to start with the end in mind. What do you want and why do you want it? And why is that going to be important to you? And so the one that I draw this back to is, so my first 10K fast starter for the summer this year was Sebastian. I asked him, well, why do you want it? And the only reason why he wanted it is because he wanted his face on our wall and wanted to be the first person to do it. And that was his motivator. That was what's going to wake him up at 8 o'clock every single morning and be on the phones. Your why is going to wake you up in the morning. It is your alarm. You should wake up to your alarm getting ready before it goes off and then turning it off, because that's how excited you are about your why. How personal, how much to the heart and to the soul is it for you? Is it that much of a why for you? Think about it this way. If your mom was going to die if you didn't sell $10,000, how would you push?
Nugget.
By the way, we're not going to obviously kidnap your mom and put that stress on you, because that would be really bad. But if that was what it was going to take for you to push as hard as you possibly can, how much more work ethic would you put into it? So I give it to, and being able to go into it, Riley Lucas last year for the SC2 push, she was behind going into the hitting the limo. And that day she ended up writing up $4,000 right before the conference even started. That's what it commits. That's what it means to commit, and having a why of being able to go after it. It doesn't matter if time is counting down and you're still behind. You're going to put the work ethic into getting your goal and to accomplish it. And so that leads into what Nick said. It's the second thing of what he said, is the power of commitment. When you commit to something 100%, extraordinary things can happen. What it does is help eliminate doubt. The doubt is what, you think about yourself. Can I do this? Am I capable of doing this? And having that fear base. And when you are 100% committed, think about it in your life. What is something that you've committed to 100% before? How did it feel? It was probably nerve-wracking, stressful, because it's something you've never done before. And that's what a push can be for you. And so how you look at the push and having that commitment for what you're going to be able to do is going to change it. So the importance of discipline. I was reading an article on being able to do this, and it's by Stanford University. And for discipline is change your perception on your willpower. So according to Stanford, the amount of willpower a person has is determined by their beliefs. If you believe you have a limited amount of willpower, you probably won't surpass your limits. If you don't place a limit on your self-control, you are less likely to exhaust yourself before meeting your goals. So eliminate that perception of willpower. You have all of the capability of being able to do this. And when your dreams and reality collide, reality always wins. So how big are you thinking? What are you going to be able to do this? And so, which leads into having a big mentality. I'm going to read. I'm a big guy on personal growth now. I used to hate to read. It was one of the worst things ever. I listened to a lot of audios, and Nick just told me over and over in every one of my PCs, gotta read, gotta read, gotta read. You got to focus on yourself so that you can focus on others. And so the book is 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. I definitely encourage you guys to get it. But in chapter 9, it talks about 10X goals. And so I'm just going to read one paragraph out of it, and it's something to, just having a big mentality about what you're thinking and thinking big. The reality is that if you start small, you're probably going to go small. People's failure to think big enough usually means they will never act big enough, often enough, or persistently enough. People don't go for big goals because they don't have the why and the commitment to being able to do that. Goals are your dreams can become goals by breaking it down by doable action steps. That's how dreams become goals. They're doable action steps day in and day out for you to be able to do what you need to do. And so taking risks. Are you going to take that risk? Is it calling the person that I'm too scared to be able to call? Is it going in, talking to my neighbor that you probably know would buy an Ultimate set, you just haven't went and talked to him? You know, maybe it's calling back ex-girlfriend or boyfriend's parents because you know they love you, but the relationship ended badly and you don't want to talk to them. But you never know. It's a fear base. And you know what fear, in my opinion, what it means is they're false events appearing real. You're just believing that these things are real for you. That's why you're afraid of it. But once you actually do it, are you afraid of that thing anymore? No. And so if you face your fears, you're growing yourself, and that's the mentality that you have to go into, is facing your fears. And so I just have a couple last things is, you know, never giving up. That's the mentality that you guys should have going into this. And you've got to learn to know things that are going to happen. You know, Anna Groeschel, who started with us last summer, she started her fast start, and she was going after a real big goal. Well, literally the second day, her car broke down. Well, she had no idea what she was going to do, and we just remind her about the virtual presentations. Well, her first entire week, she sold all through virtual presentations. So you're going to be ready for whatever happens to you. For me, not last year, the year before that, in December, my car broke down. I literally had no car the entire month of December. And I was already a manager at that time, so I had to make sure I got to the office for my interviews. I had to make sure that I was still going to be able to do my PCs, and I wasn't going to let that affect me. And so are you going to be able to take what life throws at you, because life sucks and it's going to throw things at you, and are you going to be able to take those on and keep on going? By the end of it, because I worked so hard in the month of December, I ended up buying a brand new car. That's what this push can be about for you. You know, and some of you guys, again, you guys don't necessarily know what it can do because you don't believe necessarily that it's capable or possible because you've never done it. Well, then go and do it. Prove to yourself that you're capable of doing this. Prove to the person next to you, prove to your parents, whoever it is that you need to prove to yourself, to whoever it is, that you are capable of doing a job like this. And it is. Again, I tried to quit twice. You know, there's still days where I feel like quitting, and I call Nick and he says, you can't. Your lease doesn't end for another year, so you can't quit. But again, when you feel like, when you're about to break down, remember this, you're not breaking down, you're about to break through. You're about to break through everything that you can do. I've had plenty of times where I've broken down to Nick and just started crying, and literally the next day, it was like, everything went right in the business. And I was like, why did I even care about what I did yesterday? So when you're about to break down, you're about to break through. Well, breakthrough. The more breakthroughs that you're about to have, or the more breakdowns you are going to have, the better that you're going to grow. No one grows in the comfort zone. And that's what the push is about. It's about eat, live, breathe, and dream Cutco for 18 days. And at the end of it, see where you're at. Most of you never thought that you'd be selling knives right now. And now look at where you're at. So begin with the end in mind. And again, when you break down, you're really breaking through. So having the mental, emotional, and physical toughness to know that you have the support system and that you're capable of doing anything and everything possible as long as you consistently put in the work ethic. And so I challenge your guys' self is to push yourself every single day, no matter what, even when you don't feel like it. Because at the end of it, you can look back and say you gave it 100% all. And even if you didn't hit the goal, you know that without a doubt in your mind that you gave it your all to be able to do that. And that's what this is about. Because if you have a goal that you've hit, you're not thinking big enough. And so think big and dream big. That's all I got for you guys.
Cool. Let's give him a round of applause. Very nice work. Thank you. I'll tell you, those who give their absolute best, they don't regret it, and they don't look back and wish that they had done something different or better for sure. So thank you for that, and just a phenomenal message, no doubt. All right, so where is our video? We're going to pin this one up real quick, and we get to see Claire up here, but it'll work out well. So anybody getting some value out of this right now? Yes, hands? Yes or yes? So here's the thing. This business is one of those things that if you truly make a commitment to, can change your life forever, right? But if you just walk through it and you treat it like a hobby, it's not going to do much for you. And you don't want to be one of those reps. I remember asking my manager after about 2 or 3 weeks on the job, it's like, hey, man, where's everybody else in my training class? Like, are they still on the team? And those people were busy. And they were busy quitting. They were busy giving up on themselves. They were busy being lazy and complacent. And I chose to not be that person, right? And I'll tell you that, and man, it's completely changed my life. And that's what I love most about Vector. It makes me a better husband, a better father, a better son, a better me, right? This job really does make you the best version of yourself if you allow it. But it's not going to happen just through, taking what comes your way. It's going to be happening by going out there and getting what you want, right? And being aggressive. Loved what Bailey said there too about how growth comes when you get outside of your what? Comfort zone, right? That's where real growth begins, and that's where real growth occurs. So next up, we have Claire Beckman. Claire is somebody who last year was not in the spot she wanted to be in by this point in the summer. She had a couple of sales, a couple of good weeks, a couple of bad weeks, but she certainly was not on track for her goals. And I remember we sat down for about an hour and a half or 2 hours. It's probably the longest PC that we had, and we just dug in because she had gone through multiple PCs before, and she had not done the right things. She had not committed to the activities that she knew would help her succeed, and that's what held her back. And so what we found is after asking a lot of questions, there was just one thing. It wasn't a bunch of things. I think that a lot of people are a lot closer to success than they think. There was one thing, and that one thing was her lack of commitment to making phone calls. That was it. And we figured that if she just did the activities, the results would come. And we were right. We set up a contest with her. She'll probably talk about it. When she started following that, she ended up having her biggest push ever. And how much did you sell again, Claire? $9,300, so just under $10,000, the biggest push of her career. At the time, she almost doubled her career sales. It was an incredible feat for her and a big opportunity of her overcoming challenge when she just finally decided to turn it on. So we're fired up to teach you some of those things, and Claire's going to come on up and give you some of the good. So Claire Beckman, Dom in the pilot office. Let's give her a big round of applause. Come on up. All right. Got your camera.
All right. Yeah, so Nick was just talking about last summer for me, and some things that I learned through that push is what's changed my whole perspective on a lot of things just in the business in general when it's come to my personal sales, when it's come to management activities, also even in school and in relationships and everything. A lot of things in life are just about the actions and the preparation. If you've ever, if you played a sport in high school or if you're in a band or any kind of thing like that, you guys had practice and you prepared to go and compete and go to the games and go to the meets and perform. So everything that I'm about to tell you are just 6 tips on things on how to prepare the best for push. And if you do these things over the next 2 to 3 days before push starts, it's going to make your life 10 times easier and you're going to sell a lot more. So first tip that I have for you guys is your names list. All right, so on here, thinking about your guys' hot list, who's on that list, your best people. These are your parents. You need to talk to your parents and ask them who their best friends are. Great question to ask your parents is, Mom or Dad, if you're me, who would be the best 10 people to go talk to? Having those conversations. Talking to your siblings. Who has siblings in this room? Yeah? Your siblings, their friends, and their parents, those are always great demos. And then your friends, some of you guys are new. A lot of the exercises that we've been doing is talking about how to call your friends and get more parents' numbers. So making lists of that, creating your hot list. Second part of having your names list prepared for this is you need to guarantee that on the first 2 days of push, Tuesday and Wednesday, that it's going to be a grand day no matter what. You want to secure your first 2 days that you're going to get off to the strongest start. So then that way you have the best confidence. You have a lot of momentum going in. You're going to be a lot more motivated to make phone calls because you're feeling good. And it's just going to set you up for success for the rest of the push. So that's why you want to see your best people in the first 2 days push. And even if you guys haven't gotten in touch with all your best 5 yet, or your best 10, best 25, those you should be showing all of those in the front end and then push. Think about your past customers. A lot of you have been here for about a month or longer. So who are your best customers from the beginning of the summer? Because those are the people that you need to start organizing that and then typing up an email and emailing out that you're about to start a big competition. We have tons of deals and specials. And then also who's had a customer this summer that said, I'm going to buy later? Pretty much everyone probably. So who are those people? Who can you call back and follow up with them on that? and then just reschedule a demo. Because whenever anyone says they're going to buy later, it's a no sale. You can just know that. But you can still call them back and try to book it where you're doing the demo with the husband and the spouse. So this is all about your leads. If you had a really good customer in the beginning of summer, someone that was really tied into your goals and wanted to help you out, put those people together for a list and reach out to them. They could post on Facebook for you and promote that you're in a competition, that you're working really hard for a scholarship, or whatever your motivation is. All right, next tip is clearing out the next 2 weeks. All right, time management is key for a push. You can just go into a push and not be prepared at all with your schedule, and it's going to be a train wreck. You're going to be stressed out. You're not going to know where you need to be when, and you're not going to be putting in the right actions because you're just not planned. So you guys need to plug everything into your schedule that would get in the way of your phone time and demo times for the next 3 weeks. And you should be doing that tonight before you start making phone calls. So things you need to plug in: church, family and friend commitments, other like sports, working out. Some of you guys play football, so you have workouts in the morning. Some of you are taking summer classes, so when are you going to class? And then the next step, additionally to that, is giving yourself a schedule. So, and there's a second part to that, is like you have to create yourself shifts. And so what Nick was just talking about with like the alliance calls, if you're going after a 3K SC2 push, then you need to be at 2 of those alliance calls. So you need to plan in that. 6K, it's going to 4, and then 10K, it's going to 6 of them per week. So you need to plan that in and schedule that. Familiarize yourself with the numbers, focus on the actions, and detach from the result. So, are you guys familiar with the numbers? How many phone calls does it take to book a demo? 10, all right. And then how many demos does it take to sell 10K? 10K.
40.
40, right? All right. So if we're going after a 10K push for SC2, you have to do 40 demos. So how many phone calls is that? Right? Okay. And then divide that over like 18 days, and that tells you how many phone calls you need to make a day. And that's not even doing it 7 days a week. What if you only want to work 6 days a week and you just need to have Sundays off? So factor that in, and then that will tell you how many phone calls you need to be making 6 days a week. And that's how you can give yourself shifts, and then you can be planning when you come in the office, you know how much you need to do. It just makes it a lot easier on yourself. All right. Here's one of the most important ones. So this is the third tip. Have the right conversations. All right. Your family doesn't get it. They don't get it. It's taken my mom like 2 or 3 years to finally like really get it, the whole business. 3 years. This is some of your guys' first summer. So you just need to understand your family is not going to really understand what you're doing or why you're doing it, and you have to explain that to them. And you need to like know what your whys are. Nick was just talking about that. What are your whys? Yes, like what he was saying, you want to make $5,000. Well, what is that going to get you? So talking to your parents and then telling them you're going to be busy over the next 2 weeks. So you have to tell them that you're going to be busy and you're not going to be able to help out as much. But you need to make sure that they know you're still going to do your chores or, whatever they want you to do. That way it's going to be the easiest on you, so you don't have them riding on your back all the whole 2 weeks about doing your chores. You got to prepare them for it. But a good thing to talk to your parents about, like when I've talked to my parents about this, I really talk about the personal growth and what it's going to do for me. And I say, Mom, Dad, I've never been committed to anything like this before. I'm so committed. This is the reason that I'm going to bed at night and why I get my head off the pillow in the morning. The next 2 weeks can help me so much personally, professionally, and financially. It's going to be a big reason on why I'm able to pay for school and continue to work on graduating debt-free. This is going to build my resume. If I sell $10,000 in the next 18 days during this push, that looks awesome on my resume. That can really help me get a great future job. Talking about those things with your parents, they need to understand and get why you're doing this. And then the last part for doing the schedule and stuff is getting off your second job. If you guys have a second job, if I was just to stand here and I had $2,000 in cash right now and I just told you, do everything that I tell you for the next 2 weeks, you'd probably do it, right? Well, you can guarantee yourself making that if you just commit to the actions and steps and everything that we're telling you, and it's just, not working as much at your second job. That's all it is. I did that my first summer, and it was definitely paid off. I made $1,000 during that push. It was more than I made like almost all summer at my other job. Oh, okay, it's kind of cool. All right. So, and it's easy to feel like you want to, continue to work because you know that's guaranteed to be paid, right? Well, this is guaranteeing it. Sometimes you just got to jump and dive in and do it, because I had no idea what I was doing my first summer. I was like in all of your guys' shoes right now. I was like, I don't even know what push week is, but I'm going to try it out. And it was awesome. That's why I still work here. That's really why I still work here, is because of my first push week. All right, next step is goal thermometer. All right, so do you guys know what your goal is for push? First question. And that's not necessarily just like CPO. It's demos, referrals, phone calls. Last summer I made I got a whole new notebook for my recommendations, and on the front I wrote SC2 push binder. And in the front page it said my goal is to get like 150 recommendations during push. And that was my goal, and I talked about that with every customer that I met with. But you have to be preparing that now. So knowing what your goal is, you can make a goal thermometer for recommendations. Like on the last page of your blue book, after you ask for recommendations, be filling that up. Also knowing like how many demos you need to be doing over push to hit your goal. You guys can make like a demo tracker, get a poster board, and put a ton of boxes in it. And every demo you do, you're just marking it off, because that really helps you get, not really focus on the result, only focus on the actions. So knowing what your goals are. And then for your thermometer, you guys can be creative with it. I think it makes it a lot more fun for customers when they know that you put a lot of work into, your thermometer. I always either like design one on my computer, or I make one. I like use a bunch of markers and crayons and stuff, and actually put effort into it, because if you just pull out like a blank thermometer and you're like, this is my goal, and it doesn't even look like you really put any effort into what you're so passionate about going after, it just doesn't seem as cool. But if they see how much you worked on it, it makes it a lot more special. One of my friends, Heather Krennick, she always made really creative goal thermometers. She's a CSP, and what she would do is just travel all year and then only work in the summer. And so summer was when she was like, she needed to sell over $100,000 every summer so she could fund her traveling throughout the year. So every push week was huge to her, because that was what was going to be making her enough money to be able to do what she wanted to do. So she made a goal thermometer that looked like a world map. And so she I don't even remember how she did it, but it was cool because it looked like all artsy and stuff, and customers loved that. She would have all these colored pens and stuff, and then every time she got a sale, a customer would fill it in and they would like high five, So make a thermometer that you're excited about and that you're like, oh my gosh, can't wait to fill this up more, And then the next step is practice your stump speech with customers. So with this, you need to have your goal, like sharing your goals approach. You have to have that part memorized before you go into a push. And ways to do that is record yourself on how you sound. Because if you sound super monotone while you're, sharing your goals with your customers and you don't really sound passionate about it, they're not going to get tied into your goals at all. They're just going to be like, why? So sharing your goals and knowing what your whys are, that's why we talk about that all the time. So recording yourself, doing it in the mirror, constantly be talking about what your goals are. I put in my car, I have a sticky note that says like 10K, and then on my mirror, I'm gonna have stuff that says 10K. Like I'm gonna be seeing it everywhere. Everywhere I look, it's just subconsciously I'm thinking about it, no matter what. So how much are you talking about it? And you can be talking about this with your parents. You should annoy your parents with how much you talk about Cutco. It's so funny when my mom's like, Claire, you need to stop talking about Cutco. Yeah, I'm sorry. But it's all like positive stuff. My parents secretly love it. And whenever I don't talk about my day, when I go home and they get the whole update, they're like, Claire, how was your day? They like want to hear about it. So parents really like when you're passionate about what you're going after, and this is with your friends, and if you're dating someone, talking to them about it too. All right. Last part, I'm just going to kind of rapid fire go over some just top level tips to going after a big push. So first one under this is going to be accountability. You need to have an accountability partner or some kind of accountability deal. I've told a lot of you recently, but the deal that I made with Nick last summer was that I had to make 50 phone calls a day during push. And I had to be using the phone jam tracker. And for every single phone call that I missed every day, I had to donate $9 to the Front Row Foundation. So if you miss 5 calls, that's a lot of money that you're having to donate every day. So I didn't miss my phone call goal any day of the push. And I hit my goal. So, and that's why it's all about the action. So that I'm motivated by pain. And so I didn't want to pay any money. And so that motivated me a lot. That might not be the case for everyone. So what is the thing that's going to get you to commit to the actions? What is that thing going to be for you? And maybe that's talking to your manager and making a deal like I did with Nick, right? Or having an accountability partner. Who can you commit with? Like, it's always so much better when you have someone to be leaning on throughout a push week, to be able to talk to and call and just get things out of your system. Second part to this is commitment. When you think you're done, you're actually only at 40% of your body's capability.
Woo! Nugget.
When you think you're done, you're only at 40% of your body's capability. Write that down. Just really write that down. And that's so true. This summer, I've learned a really big lesson, and it's about having a different mindset when it comes to pain and when it comes to challenges and obstacles. You should start to really fall in love with that. In the tough times, it's if you just get to sit back, you're having a really challenging day during push, and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. Why did I commit to this? And you're in that spot, which you're going to have a day like that. It's bound to happen. Sit back and just detach from like everything that you're just all upset about, and just think about it and reflect on how you're growing in that moment, because it shows a lot about a person for when they push through those challenges than giving up. No one in this room would ever say they're a quitter. So don't be a quitter. Push through and tap into that other 60%. This summer has been the hardest summer of my life, but I've loved every second of it. Like, on the hardest days, I think I appreciate the harder days and I have the easier days. Because at the end of the day, when I'm like in bed, I look back and I know I won the day because I didn't quit during the day. And that's what this push week's about. I've had 3 years doing this. This is your chance to decide to do something amazing. Another tip is having a commitment to personal growth throughout the push week. So having a podcast or audiobook that you're listening to, and then going to the Alliance meetings too, is a huge thing. So make sure you're preparing for this push, because success is where preparation and opportunity meet. Thanks.
Woo! We can all stand up here and talk for 10, 15 more minutes each, because we want to bring so much value and expectation and things for sure. Claire, if you can go grab Britton for me, that would be excellent. I want everybody to give away 2 high fives with a genuine compliment. Hold on. It's got to be genuine. A genuine compliment with eye contact, like you actually care. 2 different people, give a genuine compliment with a high five. Ready, set, go. Those of you that are on your own, give yourself a high five and compliment yourself for being awesome and being a part of this. All right. Well, we don't want to get too far behind. Britton, you're going to have about 20 minutes. So do your best in 20. Cool? Yep. All right. Well, here's the deal, guys. We are going to dive right back in. That was not a break. I see some people getting up and leaving. If you need to stand up, you certainly can to stretch your legs while I bring up our next speaker. But I just have to share with you guys that, when it comes down to a push is much more about the process, right, and the growth that you're going to encounter than it is about the destination results. Does that make sense? And whether or not you get to your goal has nothing to do with who you are, but whether or not you commit throughout the process of learning and growing, that's what's most important. I think that the hardest part of a big push like this, when there's so many other people competing for similar numbers, is reminding yourself to run your own race. Does that make sense? By the way, it is absolutely unfortunate when I see people start to compare themselves to others. And I think that it's very much a disaster zone too. I can't stand it when I had one of my best friends growing up and his parents would always say, I wish you were more like your sister. I wish you were more like Nick, your friend, right? I don't want you to be like anybody else. I want you to be you. And I think the most important thing to remember during this push is to run your own race, regardless of how your results are going. You're going to have a bad day and then a good day right after, and somebody else is going to have vice versa. But when those things happen, remember that it's all broken down into the expectations, where you're going to have 4 great days, 4 good days, 4 okay days, 4 bad days, and a couple wild cards. And that's what it all comes into. And I think that's what Claire was really getting at with the push preparation. So even if we ended the meeting now, is anybody taking some good value away? Yes? We're just getting started. We got the best of the best near the end. So I'm going to bring up Brenton Northcutt. Brenton is somebody who started at a very young age. He is now over $85,000 in personal sales. Get this, for the year, he's already sold 30 grand worth of Cutco, and he makes just under what? Not bad. And what's cool about Brenton is also somebody who's in a position now where he just qualified for the events team. And the events team is, he's been on the events team. He's qualified now for the state fair team, which is a completely different level. And now he's got shifts coming up at the Oklahoma City State Fair, the Tulsa State Fair. This guy is about to pop and rip it up. He's having his best year ever already. And that's saying a lot after a couple of years in the business. But now he's in a position where he's ready to really rip it up. And he's very, very good at public speaking and executing on the things he says he's going to do. So he's going to help you with that mentality right now. And I can tell you that this is probably going to be one of your highlights of today's meeting. So let's give Brenton Northcutt a big round of applause coming up, bud. We're excited to hear from you.
All right. I always love how Nick is like, yeah, he's really good at public speaking. Like, way to throw the pressure on there, Nick. Really appreciate it.
You got it.
So how is Great Plains doing today?
Doing great.
Got a bunch of people on Zoom. That's awesome. Who's fired up about this push? That was pathetic. So let's try this again. I'm going to ask you guys to get loud, get excited. Even if you don't have the microphone on right now, scream in your office, get your managers kicked out, okay?
I'm excited, Brenton.
Who's excited for this push?
Yeah!
Yeah, there we go. Finally got people going up there. About time. So I'm going to be talking to you guys today about push execution, right? It's great to have all these big goals, to know how it breaks down, but it doesn't matter unless we execute, right? That's ultimately the most important thing that we have going on here. So just going to kind of cover a lot of the basic things. How many people this is like your first push, right? Outside of your fast start. Okay, so quite a few of you. And even if some of you started during SC1, that kind of doesn't count since you were, in your fast start or whatever. But what's super exciting is push is just an opportunity to persist until something happens, right? For me, everything when it comes to this time of year is about opportunity for growth, opportunity to make some money, right? We all want to make some money. It's also opportunity to see what happens, right? To see what we can do. So first off, I want to talk about your routine. What does every single day look like? Because I'm going to tell you this much. If you're consistent, it's going to make it a lot easier. What time are you waking up? And these are questions that you need to be asking yourself going into the push. What time are you waking up? What's the first thing that you're doing to start the morning? What time are you getting in the office? The answer should be 8 a.m. Right? If you're in town, then you should be in the office at 8 a.m. so we can do our alliance meetings. What are you doing throughout the day? When you're not in a demo, what are your routines? Are you making phone calls? Are you growing as a person? What are you doing at night? Are you taking care of all the chores then? The cleaning the room, setting out clothes for the next day. I know that seems like a super small thing, but it can be powerful. What are your routines? You focus on your routines, it's going to make your push a lot easier. What are your habits? How can you use this push to build healthy habits, not just for Cutco, but for your life? How can you use this push as an excuse to finally take control of your sleep schedule, to finally take control of your health, your diet, your exercise, whatever it may be. How can you use this push to build the habits of phoning, the habits of just doing demos, of being in the office? Ultimately, that's what it comes down to, right? We're habit-based creatures. We do things that we've always done. That's how we operate. I want you to think about it. Think about some of the habits that you have. How often are you doing those things without even realizing it? How amazing would it be if you just have a habit of making 20 calls right when you wake up? What does that do for you? Okay. It's also important to follow your schedule. How many people are good at following your schedule? Not me. Okay. I am great at making a schedule. Let me tell you. I put it out. Everything is there. It looks full, and I just don't execute. I don't follow. So this is another great opportunity, because if you follow your schedule, what happens? You're going to succeed, at least on some level. Would we agree? If you have a plan and you execute the plan, regardless of maybe everything goes wrong, but as long as you stick to that plan, you're still going to have some success. Like, I don't care who you are, if you do 30 demos and everything goes wrong, you're still going to sell some freaking knives. That's just the truth of the matter. If you're constantly phoning, if you're constantly trying to be in demos, you're going to go a lot further. By the way, how many people already have their schedule completely filled out for push? Ouch. You guys need to get a meeting with your managers now. Okay? Tuck in everything. When you're waking up, when your demos are, when your phone calls are, when you're going to the gym. All of these things need to be in there. Can anyone tell me exactly how many demo spots they have for their push? Anyone? I'll tell you mine, it's 35. Will I hit that number? Maybe not. But I know it. These are the things that you guys have to keep in mind while you're doing this. Okay? It's also important to eliminate distractions. Who gets distracted easily? That's 100% me. Okay? My worst problem is I come in the office and all my friends are here. I just start talking. I start talking and it never stops. You have to cut those out. By the way, the distractions aren't just the normal things. We get distracted by the small things, the things that aren't important. You know, it's looking, Nick always says this, it's about looking at what's important versus what's urgent. You need to do what's important, not urgent. Something that's urgent just seems like, oh, I gotta get this done. No, you don't. It can wait. It really can. It's not important. So if you focus on what is important, you're gonna have a lot more successful push. When it comes to distractions, what's one of the greatest distractions do you think that people have during push? Any guesses? It's your family. How many times, I guess you guys haven't really been through pushes, but you know just from past experiences, family always tries to do stuff at the worst possible times for you. Like they're super out of the blue, out of nowhere, no schedule. At least my family is. It's awful. They're like, hey, we're going to eat. I'm like, sorry, I can't. Slinging some blades. Selling knives, changing lives, right? But it's about talking to your family before push. Hey, guys, look, the next 2 weeks, the next 18 days, I'm getting serious. It's not that I don't want to hang out with you. It's not that I don't love you. It's that I have to do this for my success, for my future. When it comes to eliminating distractions also, if it's not in the schedule, it's not happening. You have to have that same conversation with your friends, whatever. If you need to, plan in time to hang out. But if you do not have it in the schedule, do not let it happen. Do not let yourself get distracted. Don't let little things hold you back from great successes. Okay, write that down. Don't let little things hold you back from great successes. How many people in here get caught up in the small details? I do. I'm sure most of us do at some point. Gotta get past that. Another important thing is to commit to office time. in a demo, on the phone, or in the office. It's as simple as that. You should be in the office at 8 a.m. every single morning. Because every single morning, we're going to have our alliance meetings. It's going to be 30 minutes, great content, then we're going to hop into a phone jam for an hour. And you're going to do your first demo at 10, then noon, 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay? But it's super important to be there for this. Let's talk about relentless phoning. So I'm actually doing something a little bit different for this push. Instead of having demo spots in my calendar, it's appointment / phone calls.
Okay.
If I'm not doing a demo, I better be on the freaking phone. It's as simple as that. Because literally every other time I've tried to push, that's been my greatest downfall. Not enough phone calls. The only reason why you're not going to have a successful push, regardless of if you hit your goal or not, that's not what determines a successful push. What determines it is if you make enough phone calls. It's been my problem. I haven't made enough phone calls. So that's what you guys need to do. Have your phone times in your schedule. I'm going to tell you guys this. Having your phone times put into your schedule is more important than having your demo times put in the schedule. Because it's easy to say, oh, I'm going to do demos there. It's not easy to say, I'm going to go do the phone then. I can't think of the last time I haven't had phone time in my schedule and I've just gone and done it. Because I haven't. There have been times when I've just randomly done appointments, never phones. So be committed to relentless phoning. Be at the office all the time with that. You need to aggressively seek demos. It's kind of funny, like some of my best appointments have come just from talking to my siblings. One of my sister's friends, their parents, I literally had to stay on my sister forever about trying to get this demo set up. Still, to this day, my biggest order ever. My brother's friend, Ultimate with steak knives, like that. Super easy demo. They love their knives. Going back over, hopefully during SC2 to sell them some cookware. So it's about relentlessly seeking out these demos. The people that you're scared of calling, those are going to be your best people. The people that haven't answered, the people that have told you no, now is the time to call them. That one that was my biggest order, I spent 8 months trying to book that demo. What if you have that person right now that you have not been able to book, but now is that time? Go after those demos. Hunt down those demos, even if you have to bribe your friends. I've done that. It's like, hey man, I'll give you 5-10% off of this. It doesn't have to be off your CPO, but it can be off of what you earn. If I make $100, give them $5. Like, they didn't have to do anything. Easiest $5 they've ever made. Take them out to lunch, something. Get more numbers, do more demos. Stay focused. I think that's pretty straightforward. Write down your goals. Know why you're doing this. Another important thing is to stay energized. Whoever feels like they have low energy at any point. We all do. But the reason why we have low energy is because why? We don't take care of ourselves. Like even a lot of us that think that we do a better job of taking care of ourselves, we're not doing it well enough. Okay? So what are the most important parts of that? It's the way you eat, it's the way you sleep, and also getting in exercise. I know it's counterintuitive, but when you start working out, you have a lot more energy. And I'm telling you guys this much, it doesn't matter if it's 5 minutes to start the day, it's going to be so much better. Like the first thing that you should do when you get out of bed is to move. Gets the blood flowing, it's going to make your day a lot better. It's going to be a lot happier person. Okay? When it comes to eating, you don't have to eat perfect, guys. I'm not talking just chicken, rice, and green beans every single day. That'd be ridiculous. But it is about making more conscious choices. It's about fueling your body throughout the day. About knowing when you need to eat. If breakfast isn't right for you, that's fine. But make sure you're aware of that. Make sure you have the sustenance to get you through the day. But physical energy is not the only thing. We also have mental energy. how often are we just tired of doing an action, right? A lot of times that's not physical. That's us getting in our heads. Would we agree? Yes? So when it comes to that, it's about growing your mind. Of course your mind is going to get tired if you do the same thing all the time, if you don't challenge it. So that's why you need to make sure that at least every single day, even if it's for 15 minutes, you're reading, you're listening to a Vector Connect audio video file, you're learning something at the office, whatever it may be, you need to do something. Okay? I want you guys to write this down also, because this goes into taking control of learning. Don't wait to be taught. Take ownership of your growth. Your managers, we're all here to help you. We want to help you grow. But we can't force you to. And I guarantee that the reason why most of you took this job, at least in some part, right? A lot of it was probably money or, resume or whatever. But last summer when I ran interviews, the majority of people said they wanted growth. They wanted to get better. And I know that the reason why you're in this room right now, it's not because you have to be. So we can't fire you for not showing up. But it's because you want to grow. Take it into your own hands. It's super important to realize that this push is not necessarily just about selling knives, but this push is about growing and becoming better. So I don't know exactly where it's at right now, but if you've been through advanced training, I believe it's 1, you have the 10 keys to 10K document. At the bottom, there is literally 5 categories, 3 audio files in every single one. Closing, referrals, mindset, whatever it may be, it's all in there. There's 3 for each of them. There's literally 15 audio files. You have 18 days. Can you listen to 1 of those a day? Because I'm telling you this much, if you do that, you're going to go a lot further. As simple as that. I also want to give you guys a couple of books that you can read. Anyone here like reading? I'm a big reader. Well, that's audio books, whether it's actual books, doesn't matter. I do both. But I want you guys to write these down. Because these are some of the most powerful books I've read. The first one is The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. He's a Hall of Fame Cutco rep. Now one of the top personal growth coaches in the world. Phenomenal book. I recommend it to literally every single person I've ever met. That's how good it is. Another one is The One Thing by Jay Papasan and Gary Keller, right, Nick? I think that's the right authors on that. Yeah. And then the last one is The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. And the reason why I recommend this one is because it's going to help you think a lot bigger. Guarantee you there's some people in this room or on Zoom that are just not thinking big enough for push yet. You're not thinking what if, and that book will help with that. Make sure that you guys are investing your time into your energy. Make sure that you're investing your time into your learning, into your growth. Because here's the deal. Some of you, this is going to be your last push ever with Vector. That's just the truth of the matter. That's your choice. I don't care what you do.
I do.
But if this is your last push, don't take it for granted. Use this to fuel, to ignite, to spark something within you. Use this as the catalyst for growth. Use this as the reason why you go so much further than you ever thought you could. Wish you guys the best of luck. Stay focused, stay committed, and have an amazing push. Thank you.
Thanks, bud. By the way, Britton can probably sit up here and talk for a little bit longer, but what I loved about it is just the honesty, right? And the truth about it and the reality. So becoming a great champion in this push, and ultimately when it comes down to your push, I think that it is so important for you to.
No, yeah. I'm going to be talking towards it.
All right, cool. Yeah, the unmuted part, but thank you for our next speaker. So anybody get some nuggets out of that? Yes? By the way, if you got a nugget during the message, just say nugget. Like it's totally fine, and we can all hear and get that you learned something and grew and stuff like that. So, John, I'm going to pull up your camera right now. All I see is empty chairs. I don't know if that's the correct camera to pull up for you.
Yeah, no, I'm on this one.
All right, got it. I'll pin your video and pull that up so that'll be better. All right, cool.
Awesome.
Well, very good. I'm just going to cut the opening comment short just to stay on time. For about the next 15 minutes, John is going to talk a little bit more about something called the 10K Guide. And if you don't know John Giacchino's story, John was the guy who didn't have a lot of belief in this job, had heard a lot of negative things, had heard a lot of stories. I actually had to sell him for 15, 20 minutes on even coming to training for day one. And I told him, come in day one. If you don't like it, you can walk out on me. And decided to show up. Then he decided to go through training. Only sold about 3,500 in his fast start. And then he got to his first push, which was actually not SC2. It was SC1. We always say SC1 is where champions born. SC2 is where champions perform. He ended up selling $15,000, $5K the first week, $10K the second week to knock out a $15K push. Made over $3,500 and then finished the summer at $38,000 in sales. Won himself a scholarship and get on into our Leadership Academy program. At this point, he's a 2-time branch manager out there in Fayetteville. He's dominating right now, #1 branch manager for the summer. He had a $23,000 week as an office, just week 3 in the summer. It's pretty exciting. And he has had multiple 10K pushes. In fact, I don't know if there's ever been a push that John's really competed for that he didn't sell 10K. So what he's going to talk to you a little bit more about is the 10K guide, tell you some stories and give you some expectations to look forward to. So let's give him a big round of applause, Mr. John Giacchino. There you go.
All right. Thank you so much, Nick. Thank you for the introduction. I am so happy to get to see everybody's beautiful faces down there in Edmond, Oklahoma. That's where I'm from, by the way. So nice to see you guys. So, the 10K guide, like Nick said, I've had multiple 10K pushes, and I wouldn't be here if we didn't have push weeks. That's the flat truth of it. Before my first SC1, where I, I went off, I didn't even know if this job was for me. I was like, man, I've made like, I don't know, $600 or $700 here. It's all right. I probably could have made, about the same amount of money working at Domino's before, like I did the summer before. But then, the push happened and I was like, oh, okay, this is real money. This is awesome money. And I had a blast with it. But push is kind of what broke it out for me. So the #1 thing, this is what I do with all my reps. I do it with myself. Anytime that I ever, sell again, anytime that I ever go for a push, anytime I ever set a specific time to, sell, is I make my schedule. My schedule is gold. Now, I don't care how you guys have your schedule. Personally, I prefer Google Calendar, because it's really easy for me to use on my computer, on my phone, on my tablet, on my whatever. It's really easy to use, and I just create those demo slots, and every time someone books, I just change the name of the event to demo for whoever, and I put their address in it, I put any notes, any gate codes, anything, right? Then the call days. You can ask your managers about specifically what times your call days are at this weekend, but we're going to be having them Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, getting ready for the push. Well, I guess not Monday because we're going to be driving the whole time, but that's okay. Everybody else around the division, you guys are probably going to have more time than us in Fayetteville because we have a long drive. But the call days are very important, because if you don't start your push off strong without that momentum, it gets really difficult. It's really, really difficult to just start booking appointments when you're already supposed to be doing appointments. So you want to have all those booked up before you start. Your I know there's a quote, I'm probably going to butcher it, but it goes something along the lines of, your plan doesn't work if you don't. Something along those lines. Your plan does not work if you don't. And to me, that means if I'm not working my butt off, then my plan is not going to get anywhere. I think of so many people's fast starts. I think of my fast start, but I know that I go through all my new baby reps their fast start, and I say, all right, so we can do demos this time and this time, right? Do we have anything else that, we need to be planning for? Nope, John, I'm going to do phone time here and here and here, and we're going to be doing demos here and here and here. And then it gets to like Tuesday, like 4 or 5 days into your fast start, and it's done. Like you're like, well, John, I don't have any demos. I asked you, did you have demos for that day? And they would say, I wanted to do them, but I didn't have them. And I always ask what happened, and they say, oh, I didn't put my phone time into my schedule, or I had it in my schedule and it just didn't happen. Has anyone ever had, can I see a show of hands if you've ever had a schedule that you didn't follow? Yeah, like 2 hands. Everyone should have like 2 hands up, right? Because we've all had schedules, whether that's a school schedule, a work schedule, a Cutco schedule, a chore schedule at home. I remember I used to have those with my family. We've all had schedules where we didn't follow them. And guess what? Something bad always happened. May not be the worst thing in the world, but, school, you didn't follow your schedule, then, you got a bad grade on a test, or, your parents were upset if you didn't do all those chores you're supposed to. Well, here at Vector, it's not, your parents aren't upset at you, but your bank account is if you don't follow your schedule. And that's kind of crummy. That's not a good feeling when you set your schedule and if everything went to plan, which everything's not going to go to plan, but if you follow your plan, you're probably going to make in the range of, $500 this week or $1,000 or whatever it is for you. And then you end up making $100. That sucks. I think we can all agree with that. So following your schedule and making it work is so, so important. So moving into what your schedule should look like. If you're going after 10K, you need to do 3 demos a day. 3 a day equals 10K. Write that down. 3 a day equals 10K. Can we all say it? Everybody say it for me. 3 a day equals 10K, right? It rhymes. It's easy to say. You should say that like before, you go to bed every night and right after you wake up every morning, right when you're moving, right? That was funny. So 3 a day equals 10K. But if you're going to do 3 a day, how many demos should you book for that day? 4, right? I think we've all experienced people rescheduling on us or canceling or no showing, that none of that feels good, but I think we can all agree that it happens. When are you in the office? Push is it's an intense part of, the summer. And that's a good part of the summer. If you're not working your butt off, I don't know, I wouldn't be here if I wasn't pushed to be the best I could during my push periods, my first summer. So are you in the office or on the phone at all times during the push? Or like in a demo or on the phone? Or in the office? I love doing that. I would be in the office just because there's always a great environment to be making phone calls, or maybe I would be able to set a field training with someone else in the office. Everyone always has something to gain from somebody else. I don't care who you are, where you're from. I have something to learn from you. You have something to learn from me. So be in the office because nothing ever bad happens in the office, right? What's the most negative thing that happens in the office? Your manager tells you to make phone calls. That's like the worst thing that happens, right? Communicate with your manager a lot. I can promise you that your manager never gets annoyed of you calling them. But what does annoy them is you not calling them. Oh, yes. Remember in training, we want to talk to you guys like 20 times a day, right? Like that's ideal. Before every demo, after every demo, during demos. We want to talk to you guys. I can say that as a manager. I wish my reps called me more. I'm looking at you guys, right? So communicate with your manager. The more, the better. And then make sure I'm going to, nail this in. I'm going to nail it into you guys' heads. Put your phone time in your schedule, because I can personally attest that if it's not in the schedule, then it's not going to get done. How many of you guys have ever scheduled a phone time that you wanted? Like you were like, oh man, I need a phone, but you didn't put it in your schedule, and then it never happened. You planned on making phone calls and then it just never happened. Yep, me, all the time. Probably a lot more than I should admit. So the call days, like I said, talk to your manager about those. Guys, we'll be talking about those here in a minute. But you need to be at those. If I think, oh, and by the way, if I repeat anything, that means you should probably write it down because it's important. So I've probably repeated already several things, but if I repeat anything going forward, probably write it down because it is important. When you go to your call days, those are to book demos up for your push. A lot of people, and I remember I did this, starting in the weekend, I would start to do less demos. So if you think about it, pulling an arrow back before you shoot it, and then that way I could front load my push. I could have 4 demos on Tuesday, 5 demos on Wednesday, 4 demos on Thursday, 5 demos on Friday. Just 20 demos starting right off the push. Crush it from the start, right? And yeah, that's how you're supposed to do it. If you, dedicate, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday to doing as many demos as possible the following week, you're going to have a big week. And that's what push is about. So the 10K Alliance morning meetings, every morning at 8 a.m. during the push, Monday through Saturday, there's going to be a call and a meeting. And whether which one you are attending, I recommend being at the office. Now, if you live super, super far away from the office, you should still be at the office, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be a phone call. But be at the office because that is the best environment. From 8 to 8:30, there's going to be a workshop. From 8:30 to 9:30, there's going to be a phone jam. I remember every single day during SC2, my first summer, I would leave my house at 7:15. Yeah, that's early, right? Leave my house at 7:15. I'd get to the office at 7:45 before Nick, before Bailey, and I would wait there. I didn't have a key. I'd be like, I'm ready. I am ready. Anybody ever done that before? Yes, I am ready because I was ready to crush the day. There'd be some days when I would be on the phone call because I had a demo at 8. I'd have a demo at 10. I'd go to my internship that was from 11 to 3. And then I'd have a demo at 4, another at 6, and another at 8. I would work, how many hour days is that? That's like 15-hour days. That wasn't every day during the push, but that was some of my days. Yeah, those were long, but they were fun. I'd sell a lot on those days. I had a great time. It was a blast. That's what push means, pushing yourself. Remember, I don't care what you're looking to get out of this push, whether it's personal, whether it's professional growth, whether it's financial growth, it's going to help you in all three. So before I wrap up, I just got the clear from Nick to announce a contest. Who wants to hear about a contest? Anybody? Woo, right? Woo woo. So this is for Tuesday. This upcoming Tuesday, I think it's the 16th, July 16th. You sell $1,000. Some of you guys are familiar with this contest. You sell $1,000, you win a steak knife. Your very own steak knife. I love the steak knife. If you gave me one knife to sell, I'd probably take the steak knife. But that's not the end of the contest. You sell $2,000 on Tuesday. You get any knife of your choice. Any knife of your choice. Yes, some of you guys are going to be like, even K-bars? Yeah, sure. I wouldn't recommend it because there's much better knives, so you can sell signatures and ultimates better. But yeah, sure, whatever you want. Now, this is not cumulative. So if you sell 2,000, you don't get a steak knife and a K-bar. But if you get, it's each level. You sell $2,000, you get whatever knife you want. Personally, I'd recommend a Petit Chantoku or a cheese knife or a steak knife. But, you go with whatever. This is a great contest. Front load your demos. Get off to a great start. Getting off to a great start and push, there's nothing quite like that feeling. It feels great. Getting off to 2K day on Tuesday, popping that off. I mean, at a minimum, you're making what? $300? All right. That's all I have for you. Thank you for your time. If you guys have any questions, you can get my phone number from somebody near you. So.
All right. Very good. Stand up real quick. Give him a big round of applause. Big round of applause. Great job to John. Stand up real quick, and that'll be good. What I want you to do is I want you to find a partner near you, and I want you to share your biggest takeaways so far with the event. So find a partner near you and share your biggest takeaway so far for the event. Ready, set, go.
big stick away. Go ahead, make a schedule, make sure it's all set, all planned out.
All right, go ahead and wrap up your combo. Very good. And stretch it out a little bit. It'll be good. You guys can have a seat. Before we bring up our next speaker, thank you, John. There was phenomenal content. I wanted to share this with everybody. And those of you that are in the pilot office, wrap it up. Those of you that are in the pilot office, you guys just got one of these. Those of you that are on Zoom, you can talk to your manager. Copies are in their email, or I have not sent them out, but they can get them. Document looks like this, but it's called 40 Demos Equals 10K. And 13 years in the business, $14 million of experience. I've never had somebody do 14 demos for clients in a push and not sell $10,000. So what this represents is boxes where you can write down the day and demo that got completed, and then you can go ahead and keep note of how many you're on track for. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or what you can do is use the small box to go ahead and keep track of how much CPO you've created through the process. Make sense? What I like to do, though, is I like to use a pen and just go ahead and cross these off with a hash mark once I've done them. So demo completed. And on the top side, I put the CPO that was generated. On the bottom side, I put the amount of recommendations that I created. I keep track 1, 2, 3, 4. There's over a total of 50 demo spots on here. And if you do 40 demos, you'll sell 10K. Also, what I like about this is near the bottom. And if you go to the bottom, it says you're going to have 3 great days, 3 good days, 3 okay days, 3 bad days, and 3 wildcard days. Now, normally pushes are only 15 days long. Cool? But this push is 18 days. So what you can do is you can go ahead and add just an extra day to some of those, right? It's kind of a wild card as you go through it. Or you can say, hey, maybe I'm out on vacation for 3 of those days, or maybe there's a couple of days that I'm just, going to use as a breather for myself or whatever it may be. But this is a great way to execute and to strategize and plan, and that's a lot of what John was talking about. So thank you, John. Phenomenal group, phenomenal message to our group, and we really appreciate it for sure. Next up, we're going to go ahead and have Marissa Mayer, and Marissa just left her other position, coming in here, giving us a great message and some of her time. By the way, I do not pay these CSPs to deliver this content and these messages. They do it out of the bottom of their heart. Something called paying it forward. I know that when they were growing up in the business and new reps, they came to events like this. They are the ones sitting where you're at, not knowing if they could do good, not knowing how far they get with it, but knowing that if they just made the commitment, the results could possibly come. Now they're over millions of dollars of sales. Now they've made 6 figures in a year. Now they've traveled the world for free. They've won Rolexes. They've won Hall of Fame. Their actual faces are up in the factory, in the Hall of Fame. We have a real one. It's pretty awesome. And what's neat about it is if you get into our management group, you'll get to go up to Olean and actually walk through that hall and see their faces. But I asked Marissa to come in and just talk a little bit more about her experiences of selling 10K. Talk a little bit more about why go big for push, why it's worth it. And some of that might sound really repetitive with the other meetings, but I think that we all had different, types of speakers that we relate to, right? And that's why we have so many people on the agenda today, so you can get kind of an experience of the whole spread of different flavors and see which one really connects with you, really resonates with you. It also gives you an opportunity to network with them later on. So I won't take up any more of Marissa's time. Marissa's gonna have about 10 to 15 minutes to go ahead and deliver some goods, and then we will jump into our closing wrap-up parts of the message before we finish up. So let's give her a big round of applause. Marissa Mayer, come on up to the front, and we can't wait to hear from you about why go big for push and why to absolutely crush and dominate. So, floor is yours. Thanks for being here. Yep.
Yes, my pleasure. I am honored. So thanks for letting me speak. So show of hands, or how about we stand up? We're gonna do almost like a push kind of countdown, but reverse. So everybody stand up real quick. I like to move. If you don't know me, I do CrossFit, and it's great. And I think fitness is important. And I think blood flow can affect your state and how well you listen. It's important. So, all right, sit down for me if this is your very first push period. Like, so if you've done SC1, you've already done one, so you stay standing. But everybody else, this is your very first push. Awesome, this is exciting. Woo! We got a whole bunch of spring chickens. You're still up. Because if you've done SC1, you still are standing up. Okay, awesome. So you guys don't even know what push is about. So I'm gonna be talking a lot to you in this conversation. All right, so now sit down if this is like your second push. So you did SC1 was your first one. This is your first summer. You're getting warmed up. You're really starting to figure out what Cutco's about. Ooh, how many pushes have you done? This is your fourth?
Yeah.
When did you start Cutco?
Last summer.
Last summer? Awesome, cool. So this is your second time you've.
I think this would be my fifth. I think if you count the push we did at the very beginning of the summer. But
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, the
it's
summer
only
kicked
division
off.
push.
So perfect. Awesome. Sweet. All right, now if you have been around for more than 6 pushes total, sit down. Or if you've not, other way around, yes. If you've been in here less than 6 pushes, just like more than 2 summers, basically. Okay, good. So good. Awesome. So we have a few of us seasoned vets. All right. How many pushes have you done, Carlton? We can't even count anymore. Sweet. We'd have to double it. Sweet. All right. Well, so I want you all to see this because you guys already know who the veterans are, but when you're having hard days, these are who you call. They've been through the good, the bad, the ugly, and amazing stuff. So anyway, cool. I just wanted to see where everybody was. You guys can sit down. We don't need to do the full countdown because we don't even know numbers. So cool. So there's a few reasons I really love push, and now I know my audience, so this is really good. So if this is your first push, this is one of the best times to be in Cutco. SC2 is my favorite time of year, like, period. I would look forward to it the entire year, not being in Cutco, or when I was at school or other things, because this is a time where you really push yourself, you grow, and you get to double tap on your income. And what I mean by that is there's some sweet prizes, there's some sweet trips. Like, you can make more money than what you normally would make. So why wouldn't you want to maximize that? Like, that's my question. So first thing is double tap on your income. And for those of you who haven't had a bunch of promotions yet, and this is your first push, you've maybe done like your fast start, go get those make an excuse to make more money, to win prizes, and then also make promotions and higher percentages for later to set up your future. So push can change your summer. If you've had a pretty frustrating summer, something you've not been really enjoying, it literally can turn around. And for those of you who've been killing it, this is the time to actually really prove yourself. Because once you're out of your fast start, the real work begins. You've seen your friends and family. Sometimes your friends and family are the hardest, and sometimes they're the very, very easiest. So how do you prove yourself when you get outside of that comfort zone and the friends and family? There's a few things that this can set up for you: your career, your opportunities. I'm going to give you a little bit about my story and then kind of just give you some tips. And so that's basically what my talk is about. So my first one, I had just started. I basically was maybe 5 or 6K, maybe 7K sold before I went into SC2. It was my first push because I started kind of like late or middle of like SC1. And so I didn't really know what that was. I was in a fast start, and I only had 3 days in my fast start because I had a basketball camp I went to. And that summer I tore my ACL, but I still went to the camps to go learn everything. So I kind of didn't really even know what this was. I kind of was just taught to like show up every day and work. My first push was 13K. My second push was 15K because I had to beat it. Then I had the hardest push of my life the next summer with 10K. And then my next one was 26,000. And then after that, I can't even keep track. Because it's just an automatic 10 or 20K at that point because of where businesses are at. So the meaning will change each year, but it won't change, again, double tapping your income. So my first time, I really learned a lot about faith and about trusting the process. It was a huge struggle. I broke down and cried like 3 times because I would call and I felt like I was all out of leads, or I had only like 2 more appointments, and then I would go in and suddenly get like 20 more leads or sell like 2 homemakers at once to an appointment that I didn't even think I was supposed to do. That story was, I had 3 appointments for the day. I had a no sale. I sold about like a homemaker builder, but I didn't get leads. And I just was extremely stressed because I was like, where's the rest of my push going to come from? I like don't know what's going to happen here. And then I was going into like an office. You know, we're not supposed to do that, right? What's the target market? What are our demos supposed to be? In the kitchen was who?
Husband and wife.
Husband and wife, right? Married, age 30 to 60, in a house. I was walking into an office building much like this to people interrupting their day. Gonna do a demo. And I was just like, great, this could just go real south. But I went in, And then, even better, the person I was supposed to meet with was like, go present for my ladies up front, just to get credit for whatever it is you're doing. And I was like, okay. So I'm like, you know, this is weird, and I'm doing a group demo extra bad, right? So I go up and I just do the demo. And then the manager comes out, and he was like, oh, are you finished? I was like, great, this was just awesome. And I was like, yeah, I showed them everything. And he goes, ladies, pick what you want. And he bought 2 homemakers, and another lady who had already had Cutco bought 8 stainless table knives for her. I'm serious, guys. What Push is about is trusting the process. Keep showing up. Some of my best memories too are these like morning calls, like where you hate waking up in the morning, you're on like the day 10 and you're exhausted and you're just like, what the heck am I doing? But you learn so much, and Push immerses you and forces you to work and learn from those experiences and to make the best. Keep showing up, keep putting yourself in a position to succeed. You never know what's going to happen. Trust the process. So there's a thing called commitment versus interested too. So I'd write that down. I'd really ask yourself right now, are you committed or are you interested in this? Interested, oh yeah, it'd be really cool to go on Lemon Night and hit 10K and go to Dallas and be hanging out with all the CSPs and make some really awesome friends for life. It would be really cool to like win all this stuff that I can do. It'd be really cool to make at least $2 grand this week, if not like 3, 4, or 5. In 2 weeks of work. How many of you guys are students? Woo. Guys, 5K can last you the entire school year. 3K can. Every summer I would work for the summer and just say, I played basketball, so I didn't have time to really do much work during the school year, and I did 20 hours as a pre-med major. 5K lasted me. Like, this is life-changing money where you don't have to keep asking your parents for money to pay for gas. You can go out on the weekends when you want to. You can go to Whole Foods and buy the healthy food, whatever your values are. Guys, like, just realize that this can be transformation. The other thing, by us showing up, Carlton and I have been doing this for years. We were on every single alliance call at the office every time, making phone calls, even if we didn't have a list. What do you do if you don't have a list? You work on the list. You Facebook prospect. You guys have so many more resources than we did even 5 years ago. So show up because you'll learn. And just commit to showing up and commit to the process, and magic will happen. So the other really big things I think that are really, really important for this is that if you follow the system and you continue to learn, like, success will follow. And one big thing about Push that I really love too is it's a short time to just go freaking all out. Like, what can go wrong? Right? I mean, a lot can go wrong and you cannot sell it, whatever, but you gave it just 2 weeks of full commitment that can transform your life. And you learn to share your goals. You learn to build relationships. You learn to make things happen when it doesn't even seem like there's a way. One of the things my manager told me my first summer was champions find a way. And you've probably heard that here, but I still write it down. Because that's what kept me holding on when all the bad days happened, when everything seemed to go wrong, when I had a really bad phone time, when I had somebody kick me out of their house. That's actually happened. It was pretty funny. That was a great story. So anyways, so I don't know if any of you guys do you guys use the line on the phone, like, hey, if you don't like me after 10 minutes, you can kick me out? Anybody else use that? It's one of the most money lines on the phone. And it works 99.9999999% of the time. I've only been kicked out once out of like thousands of demos. So it's a pretty good ratio. But you should use that. But you will hone your skills. You learn to share your goals. And I need to you've probably heard it a few times, but you really need to share your goals. And I'm not talking about just with your customers as part of rapport, which is super, super important because you will sell more. You need to be very, very clear on these goals because when you are clear and you share them with passion, people help you more. You're going to get more big sales. You're going to get more referrals. But the other thing is you need to share them with your friends and family. My hardest push, which was only 10K, it's kind of funny that it was my lowest selling, but it was my most difficult one. I was calling at 2 a.m. in the morning selling pocket knives in Hawaii. And that's what I'm talking about when champions find a way. You commit to this goal and you do it. And you have tons of resources and people here to help you do that. So just keep asking for advice, keep learning, stay hungry, do not give up until the last second. That's what push is about. It's about hitting that deadline and hitting what you commit to. You learn a lot about yourself, and I'll tell you what, it makes a lot of things in life a lot easier. So it really sets you up for success in other things, like just the time management I learned, the way I learned to be hungry, the way I learned to come to the office, share goals. That stuff transfers to everything else outside of Cutco too. Like, it's not just here. So that's my encouragement to you guys. Basically, commit, not just be interested. Show up to everything, all the phone times. Oh, one of the biggest things, and I think John hit on this, was don't only finish strong. We talk a lot about that. You want to get yourself out ahead. You want to make sure that you have demos lined up. And if you don't, you should already have demos for next week, but if you don't, you start booking them. And the other thing is really prep your phone list. The more prepared you are on that, the more successful you're going to be for the entire time, because it's really hard to keep revamping that list up. And if you just have it full and ready, you'll kill it. My first, one of my best Sunday phone jams was I booked 17 in one day. How cool is it to go in to push with 17 appointments when your goal is like 40 or whatever, you know, the different goals are, like whatever you're committed to, like to go in with half your appointments already booked. How much pressure does that take off the next phone times? You still do them. And what's really cool is if you beat your appointment goal and you still have room for them, once you hit 10K or you hit 20K, then you just stay hungry, keep going, win more prizes, win that cookware, win the freaking TV, whatever it is you're wanting. And make sure you're looking at your whys every day, because there's going to be some really good stuff that happens and you're going to want to turn it in early. The good days are almost worse for you than the bad days, because the bad days make you keep working, but the good days sometimes have you take the gas off the pedal, or the pedal, yeah. So make sure you stay determined and you stay hungry and you stay focused, because when you're on fire, you need to burn it. Like, you need to use that fire, because you don't know how long it's going to last or when that next bad day is going to happen. We talk about all the different days, the good days, the bad days, the coin tosses, and then the really bad days or whatever. So you never know when they're going to happen. But when it's a good day, do not take your foot off. Keep calling. If you don't have another appointment, call as many people as you can, because you're on fire. So those are my pieces of advice. I'm excited about push. Like, I'm ready to see some numbers pop and some magical things happen, because that's what happens during push, because you're all in this together and tied into something so much bigger than yourself. So thank you guys. Hope that's helpful. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Marissa. It's phenomenal stuff, and very excited about what she just brought up there and what she discussed for sure. So next up, we are going to go ahead and just get jamming. We have a really important workshop, and this is going to be for Melissa. And Melissa Bender is our South Tulsa district manager, originally from the Moore area of Oklahoma, and she's about to get married coming up in about a month. So you want to talk about somebody who's busy with a business push and then also a life push. It's definitely Melissa, and what she's so good at is finding new resources, being resourceful, being resilient, finding new people she can call and sell Cutco to. And she's developed a lot of top level reps out there in South Tulsa. We're fired up about her taking the next step in her life with being married, and she's here to do a workshop with you for about the next 20 or 25 minutes, all based on building your names list. So many of you should have something called a best people to see list like this. If you already have one of those, it's a great time to get it out. If you don't have one of those, we're going to be passing one around right now in the office. And if you don't have one in your office, just bust out a random sheet of paper. Basically, all this is an organized way of lines to have names and numbers of people. But what this is about organizing and prioritizing your best customers and being able to show those people first. So we're going to bring up Melissa right now. She gave this message last year, and I know a lot of people had breakthroughs about finding new clientele and finding new people they can show. And Melissa is the best at helping you do that. So let's go ahead and bring her up. Big round of applause for Melissa Bender. All right. Floor is yours. Go ahead.
All right. Can you guys hear me okay?
We got you.
All right. So I am super duper excited to give this talk. I've given it multiple times before, and I always get really excited. Brings back lots of memories of my first push, just having Claire and John talk about that. I started right before SC2. I remember my fast start almost overlapped, and I was very confused as to what SE2 was. I asked everyone, no one knew. I was like, thanks guys. But I participated anyway. Those mornings showing up at the office, 7:30, 8, were some of the most impactful memories and days for me. And I know that this talk is about something that definitely made a huge difference for me, and what I believe is the most important part of your career, but most importantly, push. So I'm going to be talking about more people to see. Names list talk. Everyone's favorite talk, or your least favorite, because you heard it a ton before. Some of you are super excited for this, either because you have no people on your list and you're feeling really scarce in that area, or because you have a lot and you're excited to build it bigger. When I started, I was not the best at selling. Honestly, I always say I'm really glad we just have to show it, because that's literally pretty much all I did. I just showed it. Not much selling involved, but the one thing I was really good at was getting names on my list. It was getting recommendations. I remember going to SE2 with 174 people on my list. I finally counted. And that was one thing that gave me a ton of confidence. And so one thing I want to talk about, why this is so important. Everything in the business is predicated on how many names are on your list. It's your resources, right? This is the one thing that makes this job way more fun. It makes you way more confident. And it's one of those things that is so easy. I think it's the most easily preventable problem you can have in this business. And so I love teaching this to my reps. I'm really, really committed on having this never be a problem for my reps, never having under 100 people on their list. And so that's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to give you guys a few keys on how to do this, and then we're going to jump into a quick brainstorming session on how to do this. All right, so one thing I want you guys to write down is abundance mindset versus scarcity mindset. This is a big reason why your resources are the most important. I can definitely speak to one of my reps right now. Garrett Watson has almost 200 people on his list, and he is by far the most confident rep I have. He is so excited to always just jump into phone time. One of the things he did was revisit his Snapchat, talk to all of his friends' parents, which is what we're going to go over later. But he loves the job, right? Like, even when he has a no sell, he doesn't care. He just has so much resources that it makes his job so much easier. He has so much confidence, right? Like, he can't wait to call people. He's the one person that likes phone time. He's very strange. But more confidence, right? When you have an abundance of leads, this job is so much more fun. The little things, little setbacks, the no sales, the people that reject you over the phone. I remember when I had, a small list, or what I thought was a small list, every time someone said no, it was like, oh my gosh, that's one step closer to running out, right? But when you have hundreds of people on your list and that one person says no, it was kind of like, whatever, their loss. I have hundreds more, right? All you have to do is keep working. And that was one thing that gave me so much confidence. So the first thing we're going to talk about is not being picky. This is one of the biggest things that I always force my reps to do. My reps have heard this a million times. I'm not going to make you call them, but I will make you write them down. My reps are smiling right now. They've heard that a bajillion times. I'm not going to make you call them, but I will make you write them down, right? I go legit name for name through their contacts, and it's like, who's this? They're like my second grade best friend. I'm like, they're going on your list. I don't care, right? I found my initial list. When I moved out to Tulsa, I was cleaning and just moving everything. I found my initial list that I walked into day one of training with. And the last person on my list was literally like the Mandarin chefs of my favorite restaurant. Like, they didn't even speak English, guys. Like, that's the level that I was on creating my list when I walked into training with about 124 people on my list. Didn't call probably half of them, but that's the level I was on, right? Like, we just had this weird nonverbal relationship built between me and these people. Like, I brought them donuts, they brought me noodles, but they were on my list, right? So I need you guys to be on like Mandarin chef level right now with your list, right? You're not going to be forced to call them. You're going to be forced to write them down. So I need you to get on that level with yourself. So not being picky. The second area is sticking with your original list, right? Most of you guys, at least my crowd here, have been around for a while. It's really easy to jump straight into recommendations. This is one of the biggest areas that I preach to my team. Stick in your original list as long as possible. How many of you guys have heard someone say, or thought, like had that thought that like, oh, if only I was calling people I didn't know, this would be so much easier? right? I've heard that so many times. If only I was talking to people I didn't know. It makes me nervous talking to family. Like, if only there just wasn't a relationship there. I strongly believe that's because of a fear-based mentality, right? It's rejection hurts worse when it's your friends and family, right? Like that's what it comes down to. So it's a fear-based mentality. The thing is, the best things in life are on the other side of fear. I strongly believe that, and that's the biggest thing that this job has taught me thus far. The best things in life are on the other side of fear. It's also a situation where the worst thing that happens is they say no. I think someone mentioned early in the meeting, like the people that say no or don't buy Cutco, they're going to forget about you, right? Like you're going to forget about them, they're going to forget about you. But the people that say yes, they're going to remember you forever. They're going to have Cutco forever. You're going to impact them in a huge positive way. So it's like break even or win situation, right? Just remembering that. Yeah, your initial list. That's your easiest sales. Those are your easiest recommendations. Whenever I felt that I was in a slump with recommendations, I just revisited my initial list and just showed like maybe 5 people that I knew personally and got leads from them. And it was like just a breath of fresh air into my business. That's the quickest way to success is your initial list. Right. The next area I want to talk over, Nick, how much time do I have?
You have till 6:20, so you got about 11, 12 minutes.
Beautiful. Okay, thank you. All right, the next area I want to talk about is your chicken list. I think this is really, really important, and this is what made the biggest difference for me building my initial list. Push is the opportunity to push yourself, right? If you're not going to do it now during push, when are you going to do it? That's the thing. This whole concept of restarting your fast start right now is the best opportunity to reach out to those people that you're scared of, right? You have the competition, you have the urgency of the competition. You have the fact that you have a huge, massive goal to hit. There's way more on the line now than there normally is, right? You're more motivated. You have more momentum. Make your chicken list and really focus on those people. And we're going to do that in a moment. Chicken list has been one of the biggest things that's turned things around for my reps. I had a rep, Carter Nelson. He started with 4 people on his list. He'd sold the summer before, came back. I sat down with him and did a chicken list, the exercise we're about to do in a moment. And he took it literally 4 leads after burning through his entire network the summer before, and took it from 4 to almost 100 within his first week back. He had an average order of over 800 his first week, and it never dipped below 500 for the rest of the summer, just because he sat down and finally called those people he was scared to call. His first summer, he kind of just called his most comfortable people, stayed in that kind of circle of leads. So this is so, so powerful. Your best leads are the ones that you're most nervous to call most of the time. All right. Third area I want to talk about is your parents. So everyone's different. After talking with some of my friends, I realized not everyone's the person that can sit down with their parent for like an entire hour and just scour their list. Sometimes it's one of those things where it's like, hey mom, who else did you think of? Like looking back, that was the biggest thing for me. Once I tagged my mom into my goals, she would literally like come back from the nail salon and be like, I got 4 leads for you. They're all ready to see your demonstration. And I'd be like, what in the world? My grandma came back to the eye doctor and was like, here's her card. She wants to see knives. Like, how do you even start that conversation with someone? But it happened, right? They were tied into my leads and they were motivated to help me. And so just asking, a lot of times they think about that on a daily basis. They just don't remember to take it to you. So I want all you guys to just focus on talking to your parents before you go into this. I loved all the stuff that everyone else has had to say about, talking to your parents, sharing your goals, letting them know it's important to you. I'm going off to knife camp. Like that was one of the conversations that made a huge difference for me. Share your goals with your parents, even if it's just like, hey, I want to do 3 demos a day. You don't have to have some huge elaborate speech to all your family and friends about why this is important. Literally just going to my mom and being like, hey, I need to make 30 phone calls a day. That's literally all I told her. Right? And my mom was like one of those negative people about this job when I was new. But as soon as I told her my goals, she instead of like, oh, come to this family event. And I always felt like I was being torn in 2 different directions. It was like, hey, we have this, but have you made your 30 phone calls yet? At first it was annoying. I was like, oh, like I'm behind. And I was getting this constant reminder. But she was suddenly in line with my goals, and that made it so much easier. And the same thing happens with recommendations. So most people, from what I found, just lack the humility and patience to go and sit down with their parents or loved ones or whoever and ask for help. That was me. And that's a lot of young people, right? We want to do things on our own. We want to be independent. We don't want to have to rely on mom and dad. But that's one of the biggest things that will help you, is just asking for help, right? Just humble yourself, go and ask for help. Be patient with them. Most parents just text you 2 numbers. I think that's happened to every rep. They're like, give me all your friends. And they're like, here's 3 of your aunts. And we're like, what the heck, mom? But like, share your goals, sit down, take the time and energy it takes to go through that list with people. Okay, so real quickly, what I'm going to jump into is the action part of this talk. And we're going to go through your chicken list. So some of you guys have the list that Nick was showing. Some of you guys were like, where in the world do I get that? Grab a blank sheet of paper. What we're going to do for the next 5 minutes is go through and create a chicken list for you guys. Some of you guys have done this already. If you have it on you, I want you to go through that again, right? Cross off whoever you don't know, recreate your list. This is your chance to get on Mandarin Chef level with your list and just build it up for yourselves. I want you guys to go through contacts, Facebook, Snapchat. Garrett Watson, what he did to get to 200 people plus on his list now, is just literally go through Snapchat and use page 31. Like, that's it. He just went through it. He's super organized about it too. He's like A's, B's, and C's today, D's and F tomorrow, and he's just going through his list, right? He'll sit down and he's sitting down and showing all my reps how to do it too. So going through like that, every single person, right? People he hasn't talked to in forever, he literally just knows over Snapchat. He's reaching out to those people. And you'll be shocked at who's willing to help you out, especially your friends with page 31. And so I'm going to kind of help out my team. I'm sure whoever your manager is has got you guys that are watching. But we're going to jump into that for 5 minutes. And then we're gonna refocus, and I'll hand it off to Nick. Sound good? All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, keep working. We're not gonna play any music right now, Melissa, but I do think that spending a few minutes is really valuable. I know that one thing that we've done in the pilot is passed out something called the Thought Jogger sheet. I know your manager probably has this as well, but if they don't, I can show them to you and give you some ideas. But I guess I can pin my video again. No, where am I at? Here I am. Cool. So I can pin my video for everybody, but this is a great Thought Joggers list. And this just has about 100, 150 ideas of people you can think about. You also have an additional sheet like the Thought Joggers that's an advanced version of this. So as you're thinking, right, don't worry about phone numbers right now. Just think about names. Some of you have had a PC with me too, and I'll kind of add a little bit more tips and value to what she was mentioning and explaining. But one of the things I think is important for all of us is to, again, have the abundance mindset, right? What's the worst thing somebody will tell you? It's actually worse than that. The worst thing somebody will tell you is that they already bought Cutco from somebody else. And I'll tell you, this happens all the time. We're about to bring up Carlton in a sec, but Britton already spoke. And I'm pretty sure this is an accurate example. But Britton had a client on his list. I'm not sure how he was related to that client. How was it? Do you remember?
What are we talking about?
The person that Carlton sold to, and you find out was somebody you had had on your list for a while? Remember that? All right, great timing. Anyway, here's what I'll tell you. One of
I didn't have him on the list, but it was one of my family knew. Yeah.
Got it. So it was somebody that Britton's family knew. Britton didn't really have it on the list, but had met the person before, was introduced to them, but never really put on the list because it was too far of a connection. And I remember Carlton dropped like a 3K order and took a selfie with the client and posted that out on the GroupMe and said, just had a 3K order to these cool people. And Britton commented and said, hey, I know them, right? And Carlton got to them first. Another story is one of our reps that went to OSU is in the fraternity world. He worked for about 3 weeks. One of his big fish clients was the operator of the whole fraternity nationwide. This guy was loaded. And the rep didn't call. And I kept trying to convince him to get over their fears and just make the call. So 3 weeks later, finally made the call. Guy answered, said, hey, I'd love to buy from you, but unfortunately, I've already bought Cutco last week. The rep, insult to injury, said, well, what did you get? The guy said, well, I own multiple properties out on the East Coast, and I bought an ultimate set for each one of my properties. By the way, the guy owned a total of 5 properties. It was a $12,000 CPO order, and this rep would have made $2,500 if he would have made that phone call just a few weeks earlier. But he chose not to because he let his fears get in his way. I keep going with stories. But as you're building your list, as you're writing down these names, who are the people that you don't know well? Who are the people you might know of? But why not? And if they do get a no, awesome. Learn how to get told no and still be okay with it. Learn how to embrace adversity. Learn how to not take things personally. Learn how to do it anyway, even if you're scared. Why not? Also, for some of you, you haven't thought about what that network could lead you to. What if making that phone call to the person you're really nervous about calling leads you to a referral that's somebody in the dream field of work that you want to go into? And that becomes the network that ends up leading you to the connection to get your dream job. See, there's a lot more than just the money or the sale that you could make that could come from it, right? But you'll never know unless you try. You'll never know unless you ask. My mom and dad always told me it never hurts to ask. The only stupid question is the one you don't ask. So be that person. I had I had no connection with my dentist, but my parents knew him well. And so I went into my dentist appointment, and my dad's appointment was the previous day. This was during my fast start. And my dad told my dentist about what I was doing and said, hey, would you be willing to help him out? So while my dentist is working on my mouth, he says, hey, your dad said you're selling knives now. And I was like, uh-huh, right? And he's like, cool. Well, he said I have to do a demo with you. So let me know when you're ready. And by the way, I did a demo for my dentist. He bought $1,000 for the Cutco. More importantly, he loved it so much, he called back about a year later and bought more Cutco. And now my dentist has spent over $4,000 with me. He owns almost everything that Cutco makes. And the best part about it is he's now one of my really good friends. And when he uses our hunting knife that I sold to him, he sends me some of the deer meat every single year, and I get that for free. And even better, when I'm with my dentist or I'm back in Albuquerque, right? Not my dentist anymore, I live out here, but we go out to a beer and we hang out. We've done axe throwing together. We've gone to Top Golf together. He's basically adopted me as his second son. And none of that would have happened if I wouldn't have asked for it. I've done a demo for my parents' financial agent. I've done a demo for my parents' realtor. I've done demos for neighbors that I had only met in passing and waved to, but that's about it. If you don't sell to these people, somebody eventually will, and that's not a threat, it's just the truth. So figure it out. I also want to remind you that directories are one of the best things that you can get right now. And creating some contests with your friends and your family. The only thing better than Cutco is what? Free Cutco. So why not buy a vegetable peeler from your manager for $6 and then incentivize your friends that you referred to the job but didn't want to work here and say, hey, if we can go through your list right now and you can give me 15 names and numbers, I'll give you a free veggie peeler. If they don't want that, make a contest. I was notorious for that. For all my friends, making contests with them if I could get their mom and dad's number. They would say, no, I don't want you bothering my parents. I'd say, I bet you they'll buy. And my friends would always say, I bet you they won't. And I'd say, cool. Well, then give me the number. We'll find out. What do you want to bet? And I was notorious for betting 30 packs of beer, right, in college. And by the way, I won a heck of a lot more times than I lost. And when I lost, I had extras on hand that I had won. So I just used that. It didn't cost me much. I was in college once. I'll also tell you this. I made a bet with my wife. She's now my wife, but at the time, she's just my girlfriend. And when we were dating, she said, hey, my parents want to meet you. They've invited you over for dinner. And I said, great. I'll be happy to come as long as you let me do a demo for them. This is a true story. You can ask Timmy, my wife. And I said, but I have to do a demo. And she's like, they don't want to buy anything from you. And I said, I don't care. I just get practice. Let me do a demo. So she said, all right, well, you can set that up with them. So I called. I was nice and polite. And I said, thanks for inviting me to dinner. I'd love to do it. Did she mention what I do? I went through the script. I said, would you be okay with doing an appointment after? They said, sure. No big deal. But we're not going to what? Well, not a big deal. I've heard that before. Now, this time I was at a couple 100,000 in sales, right? So I was pretty confident, but walked into the demo, ate dinner, and afterwards they tried to get out of it. They said, oh, we're pretty tired. And I said, sweet, then I'll give you the short version. By the way, sold a Homemaker Plus 8. And let me tell you this, they still own that Homemaker. They still love that Homemaker. We've been together now for over a decade. What I'll share with you too is they've never needed it sharpened. More importantly than all of that, right, they gave me 10 referrals and leads. And with that Homemaker Plus 8 that I sold, right, I also won the bet with my wife. And the bet was a fancy dinner. Either way, we both won. But she was the one who had to pay for it. My point is this, guys, never be afraid to ask. Build that list and build it bigger than ever. You need at least 2 to 3 times as many names and numbers on your list as you might think, and as many demos as you want. So if you're going after 3K for your push, you need 50 names and numbers minimum. Why? Not because people are going to say no, but because people don't answer, people are busy, people go out of town, people don't have the time, right? When you do, you need extra resources, and don't let resources hold you back. I've had to rebuild my list 4 different times throughout my career, and every time I did, I put names on there that I actually knew when I started that I still hadn't shown. Just went out to Washington for a vacay, saw some family I hadn't seen in a decade. And back then, we didn't have the virtual demo. And guess what? They asked me to buy Cutco because they'd heard about it through other relatives and friends. And they were like, dude, you've been there for like a decade. Why haven't you reached out to us to sell us knives? And they were pissed at me because I hadn't called them. Does that make sense? They're like, we've been needing knives. We want Cutco. When are you going to call us and hook us up? And I was like, I have an excuse. I'm sorry. Yes, we'll do that. Right? And now we got a big push. Don't let your DVM beat you. I'm at 3K for the summer right now in personal sales. Don't let your DVM beat you. I manage the state, right? I don't have to sell Cutco anymore, but I do it because I love it. I do it because I love helping people. So figure out your why too. And remember, 3K is 50 names, 6K is 150 names, or sorry, 100 names, and 10K plus is 150 names. Sat down with Bree Elliott earlier. I don't know if she's in here right now. Asked Bree, how many names and numbers do you have? You know what her response was? 400. I have 400 names and numbers of people I could call. But for 2 weeks, she's been bugging her family, going through their form and figuring out who they've got. I'll give you one last tip before I bring up Carlton, and that is this. Every one of you has a cell phone, and in your phone, you have a lot of contacts, and every one of those contacts is valuable to your push. What you can write down in your notes is a source or a lead. I want you to take the time later today or tomorrow or the next day before push begins and go through your phone. I want you to take out a sheet of paper. I want you to make 2 lists. One is a source, one is a lead. A source is somebody who you can get a lead from. A lead is somebody you could do a demo for. And there's no such thing as somebody who is not a source or a lead. Every single contact that you have in your phone, your social media, any of that is a possibility to be a source to get a lead from, or a lead that you can actually do a demo for. So great job to Melissa. Thank you for the hard work. Thank you for the commitment. Let's give her 2 claps and a Ric Flair on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Woo! Great job. And we're going to bring up Carlton Thompson, my man. He's going to wrap us up with some closing comments, and then I will go ahead and review the contract before we dive in. Thank you for your leadership, Carlton. I'm fired up. He has energy, passion, and swag, and we are about to crank on this meeting. So let's give him a big round of applause. Come on up, Mr. Carlton. Bring us home, my friend, and tell us all about how SC2 will be life-changing for you, bud. Can't wait.
I feel like I can't even speak. I'm so hyped right now.
Woo!
Oh my God, SC2. Hold on, but like, can we just talk about how Nick is a stone cold killer? Like, hold on a second. Like, this man is cold blooded. Like, do you know who you have in front of you right now? Make some noise for Nick Matlack, please. Oh my God. This man is a savage. I'm gonna have that much swag one day. He bet the whole squad a 30 rack each time. Oh, can y'all see me? What's up, fam? Okay. SC2 will change your life if, big if, you allow it to. Okay. There's a couple things that are going to have to happen for it to actually affect you. Number 1, hard work. Very hard work. Your work ethic will be tested. Your dedication will be tested. And the thing that SC2 does, and I can't stress enough, SC2 is the best thing Vector has ever created. It's the best thing Vector's ever created because it creates a foundation, it creates a new threshold, it creates a new baseline for what you're able to tolerate. There is nothing more difficult to endure in Cutco than SC2. Nothing. I guarantee it. As a matter of fact, if you're in this room, I don't care who's listening. If you're right now, if you really are trying to do this, if this is what you want, I promise you, it will be the most difficult thing you've done in Cutco, bar none. Bar none, I promise you. So check this out. Everyone wants to talk about, oh, well, it's not about this or that. You're doing this and you're going to become a better. That is a byproduct. But let me tell you what's going to happen. You are going to get kicked in the mouth. You are going to get your teeth kicked in, okay? And this is not normal. For you to be in this room isn't normal, okay? What you're about to do, you are about to literally put yourself through a brutal beating. So when you go back to college this semester, all the bullcrap that you got to deal with will not be near as hard. And I can promise you, if you commit to this push, that is what will happen for you. Obstacles. Well, you got a couple different ways you can view obstacles. Some people, earlier someone said something about, Marissa, if you have a good day, stay on the phone. Well, let's talk about what's really going to happen too. You are going to have the bad day, the obstacle, the whatever. And I already had this plan to talk about this later, but I'm ready to talk about it right now. Check this out. The 4 good days, the 4 bad, the 4 okay, all that. How about this? How about prepare for 15 really hard days? Really hard days. And I'm talking about getting obliterated. I'm not talking about all of that, because that's what your boy dealt with in 2012, okay? My leads list was not in a good place. When I say in a good place, I kid you not. I am not joking. I pulled up to a demo because all the black folks always want to give me all the leads. I don't know why. Just to this day, if I get leads, if it's a black person, I'm going to get a lot. And I had gotten 20 and 30 leads from enough black folks to pull up to this driveway on the east side. It might have been 23rd and Lottie. It may have been. And I get out of the car and see 7 children running through this dadgum yard. And I walk into the loudest pounding Jodeci song, like just blaring some Jodeci. And I sat down because there wasn't a kitchen table. I sat down on this couch and I said, how in the world did I end up here? How? I got into that push and I worked harder than I worked for any other push. And I was only like 3 or 4 pushes deep. And I did not sell 10K. I had sold 6 and I was destroyed. I was not happy about it. Marissa, it was the same push that Marissa went through. 2012, JR Wither was our manager. We both had one of the most difficult pushes we had ever had, but I still walked away selling $6 grand. And I can tell you that it's probably the most difficult thing I've ever dealt with, because I had been conditioned and I was just ready. SE2, we get through these they condition you, and then JR is like making an enemy out of Matt Hart in Fort Worth, and we're just like, he's like hypnotizing me at this point. I'm like, SE2, it's the next year. I didn't sell 10. I got to go on limo night. It's happening. And I didn't hit it. And I was like, I can't even describe how upset I was about it. But I can tell you that that was a huge catalyst for me. Like just that moment of not hitting it and not getting there. It's really what makes the difference. And Brian, every time he gives a talk to wrap up this whole situation, he always talks about this is the chance, this is the opportunity for you to respond versus react. Respond. I mean, whatever happens to you, it happens to you, but you get a choice. You can either react to it or you can control what you do in the moments that it gets difficult. So right now, you need to condition your mind for the moments that are difficult. That's all there is to it. And the whole good days, bad days, you could be the anomaly and you could just get freaking annihilated the whole time. But on that 16th day, who knows? There's a story of a guy who had a 10K day the last day. The last day is insane. And I think there's something to be said for not even thinking about like what you need to be thinking about. That this is what we're going to talk about now. Okay. Here's the thing that you need to know. What are you thinking about? Not what are you doing? Not what is it? Oh, well, how am I gonna? Well, what? Well, how did you sell this much? Well, what are you thinking about? Okay, what is it that you are thinking about most of the time? So that way you can create as much as possible. So this is what you need to be thinking more than all like the phone calls and all that. Yes, we know the whole formula. Create as much CPO as possible. Create as much CPO as possible, okay? I'm going to paint the picture for you. A lot of y'all are new. We walked this squad. Y'all, yeah. This squad, all of y'all, we walked into Dallas, Texas. We walked into Dallas, Texas. As the Oklahoma people, my whole Cutco career, we have just been a small group. As a division, okay? And turned up on all of them. I am not playing, bro. Vaughn Gray, the #1 rep in Oklahoma and Texas. This is happening right now. Here's the whole. Hey, we're gonna just become better. You, all of y'all are gonna show up for this. Someone is, and I don't know who y'all are, but I know who Nick is, and I can promise you, this will be the difference maker. And here's the deal: we're gonna walk into Austin, Texas, with Oklahoma, the whole division, Texoma, the whole division, Houston, the whole division, and Austin, the whole division. Now, if you're trying to turn up, that's all it is to it. You're gonna have to either represent or you're gonna be a punk. You got two options. That's all there is to it. That's what it is. And I will. Don't worry, your boy will. Yeah, your boy. You go. I got to. It's just your boy. You know what I'm saying? So, you can't put me. This has never happened, by the way. There has never been that many divisions in one place at one time like that. So you want to sell 10K? You just need to know that you need to know there's more out there. If you're thinking about 10, think about 15. That's how I had my first 10K push. If you're thinking about 10, think about one level up and go after that, because you can end up at 10 if you're thinking about it. Yes. And when I say be open to what's off your radar screen. Oh, okay. Is this? What is this? There's stuff, there's people, circumstances, events, time. There's a lot of things that you don't have control of. And what I'm trying to at least articulate to you is to be open to that. But with that, you need to be taking action. Whenever you put in a lot of effort, a lot can come in based on the fact that you are putting out the energy to create a lot. So with SC2, have a definite chief aim. What is your definite chief aim? Okay. And that could be, and a lot of people try not to think about the number, and that's a good thing. Think about the phone calls or just thinking about showing up to the meeting. Think about something that you have control of too, because there's a lot that you don't have control of. And then let the rest come in and just let it flow. Here's the deal. When a lion is in the jungle and it's after its prey, it's got to feed its family. And the lion, some days, when it's hunting its prey, will not always get the kill that day. But at the end of the day, that's still a lion. So when you show up to each day, what you have to remember is what you, as a rep, bring to the table. You are not like other reps. You are not like other people. You are not what people define you as. You show up and you complete the task at hand. So with that, every day walk into each day with the mentality, with the energy, with the onus, with the fortitude that you know you will, not you might, not you can, that you will perform and you will sell a lot of Cutco. Because the thing is sometimes there's vessels in people. There's gifts in men. Whenever my biggest push ever was like 2 years ago for the CSP thing, and I got to the push, and I had a 10K week, I had a 7K week, and it's a 3-week push, and I had a pretty tough week. The last week it was like a 3 or 4, something like that. Turned out I was like 4 or 5 grand away from my goal, and my goal is, once I'm done with the push, I'm gonna go kick it a day early. I'm gonna go hang out in, I don't even remember where it was. I don't even know, Tennessee, something like that, like Nashville. And I was mentoring with Jason at the time, and I hit him up. I was letting him know where I was at for the push. I'm like, man, I'm this far away. Man, I'm really thinking maybe. I called him up. I said, man, maybe, just maybe, I can hit it, but I think I need 1 more day of appointments. I just need 1 more day, I think. He's like, can you change your flight? I'm like, yeah, I can change my flight. I can come in the day after and just be there for the conference. He said, if you want to grow yourself and see what your threshold is, look, just change your flight. You were just going to hang out anyway. Change your flight. Just do it. Changed my flight. I booked up like 6 appointments that day. 2K appointment, 300 no sale, 300 another ultimate upgrade. On the last demo, hit 25K for the push. So the reason I share that is because sometimes there's gifts in people, and you have to let them give into you even more. A lot of times, I remember for the majority of just selling Cutco, I haven't always just believed that I was the rep who would have the big push. I would always just sell like $1,000 or $2,000, and then like for like 2 or 3 years into the game, I was like, man, if I can just have a 3K week, And I don't know. Eventually, it became a thing where I said I'm not going to do that anymore. And 2014 was my first. I think it was 2014 was my first 10K push, and it really does. I think the root of it is just knowing that there is more, and you actually desiring and wanting more. And again, the thing about SE2 is that this is the best thing that Vector's ever done. It really is, because the obstacles that you get to overcome, what you get to learn about yourself, what you get to learn about what's possible, there's just nothing better. There really isn't. The camaraderie that you'll experience, you coming in every morning, or if you're calling in, it's just different. There's just a different energy. The whole Vector world knows it. There's a reason why a man had almost an $80,000 push period because of this thing that Vector created. And it's weird. Like the guy who did it, Tyler Park, he was like a year out of the business. He's like, this is just my shit. Like, I got to come in and do this again. Like, he came in another year, another 50K push. Boom. Like, it's just dumb. Like, SE2 just brings something out of people. It's where the magic happens. So wrapping this up, SE2 is the Super Bowl. You probably heard it called that, but it's the biggest thing in Cutco. You will go hard, and you have the power. So let that power go. You have that line energy. You have that gorilla energy. You just have to unleash the beast. Let the monster go. Let it go. Give yourself the permission to open your mind like a parachute and know that way more is possible. Whatever you're thinking, think more. And just focus on being the best you can be. And we will have a great SE2 push.
I don't even know which one to give you a double high five it. By the way, Carlton, thank you. Every single year. Anybody feeling a little bit like inspired, tingles going up their spine after that kind of message? Some of you are scared. You're like, who is this guy? Why is he yelling at me? But I love it. Carlton just brings the fire, brings the passion, brings the energy. One of the things that I love about Carlton is how authentic he is and how much personal ownership he takes of his character. One of my favorite quotes to tell people all the time is, give up the need to be perfect for the opportunity to be authentic and genuine. And I think that when you go into this push, this is an opportunity that you're being handed. It's an opportunity that you're being given. What's the difference between a push and a non-push? Absolutely nothing. What makes the dates of July 15th or 16th this year through August 3rd special? Absolutely nothing. But you know what? what's special about it is that we choose to make it special. What's special about it is we choose to work harder than normal. What's special about it is we choose to accept adversity, to accept challenge, to accept frustration, and to embrace it and say, yes, bring it on. This is something I want. I want to grow. You're going to have to grow by choice or by force. The choice is yours, right? And make that decision. So what I want to do right now is talk about my 10 commitments for you for push. And these are things that you can write down. I don't have a handout for it, but again, 10 commitments to push. And I want you to know a little bit more about that. Also, when I think about this, we're going to review the Alliance contract. I'll pull it up real quick before we wrap up. But let's dive in right now. Number one, I want you to write down think big. And then next to that, you can write down think bigger. If you're thinking 10 right now, well, you need to be shooting for 20. If you're thinking 6 right now, then you need to be shooting for 12. But always be thinking bigger than what you expect you're going to hit. I said it earlier, have 3 goals, a must do, which is your standard, no matter what, you won't accept anything below. I talked about the second thing, which is your could do, if things go well. And then the last thing is your should do, right? Or sorry, must do, should do, could do, right? Could do is if everything goes right. Should do is, hey, this is what I'm really going to tell my client is my goal. And the must do is my minimum standard, right? But have a plan for that. Realize that your confidence that you're going to hit your goal will go up when you're shooting for a bigger number. If you promote 20 and you fall short, you still hit 10. Does that make sense? So don't be afraid to share bigger numbers, because a lot of people buy Cutco not because of what the product is, but because of why you're selling it. And if you can really get good at sharing your goals and tying your clients into why you're doing this job, man, tenfold, right, is what they'll end up buying. And you'll have clients that literally will just buy a little bit of Cutco or a lot of bit of Cutco just to help you out. You know, I can tell more stories about that for sure, but one of the big things that I want to share with you is that it's a 20-80 rule. It's in effect. 80% of your push sales will probably come from top 20% of your orders. So let's take into account like 40 demos, right? You probably have 32 sales off of that or so. Well, that means your top 6 to 7 orders are going to produce about $8,000. Does that make sense? And then all the other demos and little orders will all be little baby steps to get you over that 10 mark, right? So you just got to expect those big fish clients, expect those big sales. Number 2, I want you to write down is create great habits. Create great habits. So again, create great habits. And what's that all about? Well, creating great habits has a lot to do with realizing that this push is not about a destination result or a goal. This push is about you growing and becoming the better you. Create the routine of coming to the office more frequently. Create the routine of never having a day out of 18 days that you don't get on the phone, right? Okay, create the routine of mealtime, making sure that you're eating early on and eating throughout the day. Also, when you're doing these demos, you're eating at the demos and you're eating fresh fruit and healthy stuff. It's fun, right? It's enjoyable. So keep that in mind. Also, becoming OCD about success. I want you to write down, be obsessed. Britton gives a message every single year. He says, be obsessed or be average. Pick one. Be obsessed or be average. It's easy to be average. It's easy to be normal. It's easy to be mediocre. But why not become obsessed? And when you do, what are all the benefits that can come from that? Little things make the big differences. That extra 5 minutes, those extra 5 phone calls, the extra round of calling your top or best 5 for the 3rd time that day because they didn't answer the first few times, that can mean the difference. Your best clients are the hardest to book, but when you book them, they buy the most. I had a client I was referred to one time, took me 2 months, and every week I would call this guy, he'd answer and say, hey, I appreciate your persistence. I'm in sales too, but I'm busy. Sorry, no go this week. And I almost stopped calling him, but I knew that he was a big fish client. Finally got him on the phone. It was actually during SC2 push, and I decided, you know what, let's see if he'll answer. And he said, you know what, you've been persistent enough. I'll make time for you. Tuesday, 11 o'clock, don't be late. I'll give you an hour. So I showed up at 10:30. This dude's home had 2 kitchens. He was building a $150,000 pool in the backyard. I did the demo. He was blind. Halfway through the demo, he said, all right, I've seen enough. No? Okay, good. Anyway, he said, I've seen enough. And the weird part is every cutting demo, he would fill the blade even though he's blind. He looked at his wife. He said, babe, do you like it? Will you use it? She said, yeah. He said, cool. What's your biggest package? I said, well, it's called our Cutco Kitchen. I kind of did a makeshift version of the price comparison, showed it to him, and he bought a Cutco Kitchen. He didn't even think either. He just said, all right, how much is it? Cool. Can you give me a good deal? Great. Here's my credit card, baby. I got to go back to work because he worked from home, left, never saw him again. 1 hour in and out. Took me 2 months to get that demo, 4K order. Are you willing to fight for those things. Create great habits. Number 3, plan your work and work your plan. Plan your work and work your plan. So my question to you is, as you plan your work and you work your plan, right? How good is your plan? Is your plan okay? Who's watched those commercials? It's just okay, right? Or it's just good, right? Okay? Okay is not good. Okay is not great. Okay is not what you need. So understand that now's the time to make your plan and then work that plan, right? Follow your schedule. You know what I love about planning, what I love about making an instruction manual is if you put it down on paper, you write it down, and then you follow it, you're committing to success. But the problem is that if it's not written down, it doesn't get done. Write out every single hour of every single day. Carlton talked about it last year. White space is the enemy. White space is the enemy, and your job is to eliminate white space. That doesn't mean you can't have fun. If you were going to go to the lake, hey, you can pick that day to go to the lake. It's your push. But I'll tell you that if you go to the lake, write in going to lake, and then write it out so you are not at the lake feeling guilty that you shouldn't be at the lake. Does that make sense? White space is the enemy. Every hour of every day planned out and then execute. It's your instruction manual. I don't know if you've ever been to a furniture store and bought the furniture that you have to buy and then put together yourself, right? And we so often say, dude, it's a table. It's got a top and legs and I can put it together, right? And then you put it together and the last step, you find out that one of the first steps you got put on the wrong way. Anybody ever done that because you didn't look at the instruction manual? And you start cussing and you start not being happy and you're like, I just wasted all this time. Yeah, you know why? Because you didn't look at the instructions. Those of you that are in this push right now, make your instructions now so that that doesn't happen to you at the end. Number 4, eliminate distractions. And by the way, it's all about actions, not results. Put in the actions, the results will come. You do 40 demos, you're going to sell 10K. But in order to get 40 demos, you're going to have to make over 400 calls. So when do you start? Well, sooner the better, right? So number 4, I said eliminate distractions. Become an office rat. It's been said many, many times today, in the office, on a demo, or on the phone, right? And you know what? My philosophy is, in addition to that, in a demo or on a demo. If you're not going to be in a demo because you didn't book enough that day, come to the office anyway at 8 a.m., be a part of the workshop, make your calls, and then if somebody else has a demo, go on their demo, right? If you're not going to do your own demos, go and watch somebody else do demos and learn from their demos, get better from their demos, right? Because the real way to be a student is either to be actively doing it or be watching somebody and observing. Cool? So become an office rat, eliminate those distractions. And the morning alliance meetings, guys, these are not like optional. You shouldn't be looking at those and saying, oh, I'll go to the ones I feel like. Go to every one because everyone's different. Everyone's worth it. Everyone is going to inspire you to kickstart your day and go off into action, right? And again, just the habit of getting up early. Most of you went to high school for years. And what time did you have to be at high school at? Yeah, for some of you, it was earlier, right? 6:30, 7 o'clock, 7:30. 8 o'clock's not that bad. Plus, we're going to have food. Why not, right? Make it happen. Get in here. Cool? All right. Number 5 is be aggressive about daily demos. Be aggressive about daily demos. 2 demos a day sets you up for 3K. 3 demos a day sets you up for 6K. 4 demos a day sets you up for 10K. So it's all about living in an airtight window of today, tomorrow, and the next day's demos. Don't pull down the phone or don't put down the phone, right? Always make sure that phone's in your hand up to your ear. I know during the push periods, I'm notorious for bringing in Nerf guns, and I'll just walk around the office. And when I see somebody that doesn't have a phone in their hand, pop. Oh, yeah, that's a Nerf gun. Pop. I know it's more like a psh, but whatever. And I just shoot people that aren't on the phone, right? It makes it fun. Just come into the office. I promise you it'll be worth it. And again, it's all about lead frogs, all about alley-oop, all about meeting the neighbors, all about asking for more leads. Be aggressive about getting demos in your daily demo count. All right, number 5, 6, whatever I'm on, stay focused. Stay focused. Mental toughness is the key. Positive energy is the key. This might come across disrespectful to some of you, but one of the exercises I used to do, especially because phoning is the number one thing that holds people back, that and the lack of resources, is to make your phone your bitch. And I remember going to a conference one time, one of the top reps told me, bust out your phone. If you're worried about phone calls, put your phone on the ground, stare at your phone, point at your phone, and say, you're my, you know what, right? And I remember that moment when I just took the power back and I had control over the phone and I just started smiling and the phone became so much more fun for me. So again, positive energy. How do you shut down negative thoughts? Just let them go. Is this really that important? The question you can write down about negative thoughts, will this matter blank from now? Will this bad demo Will this bad phone time, will this bad day matter a week from now? Probably not. Probably not even a day from now. And for some of you, if it's a demo, probably not even an hour from now. Because if you have 5 demos a day, 1 great demo, 1 bad demo, a couple wild cards, a couple average sales, and then, right, a wild card. But if you have 5 demos in a day, it's pretty impossible to not have a grand day. And if you have a grand day 18 days in a row, you're at 18K for push. Count your demos, not your results or your sales. How can you have more fun during push? How can you have more fun during phoning? I used to reward myself with food. Every phone call I made, I got a Skittle, or I got an M&M, or whatever your candy is. Put a little dish out in front of you, right? It's fun. And all of a sudden, it's like, no, that's not bad. Make another call. I get another reward, right? Reward yourself. But figure out a way to make it more fun. It's baby steps, guys. You've heard it enough before. Great days, right? So say it with me. 4 what? Okay, 4 what?
Great days.
Yes, we've done that one. Now we're going to the next step, which is 4 great days, 4 good, right? So 4 what?
Good days.
Good days. You're going to have 4 okay days, so 4 what?
Okay.
And then you're going to have 4 bad days. 4 what?
Bad
Yeah,
days.
and that's going to add up to 16. With 18 days, you're going to have a couple of wild cards. So at the end of every day, do a little reassessment for yourself and say, all right, did I have a good day, a great day, good day, okay day, bad day, or wild card day? And just trust in the numbers, trust in the awareness. But don't make it a bad day because you didn't take action. Don't make it a bad day because you didn't do demos. If you're going to have a bad day through actions and resources instead. So that's about staying focused. All right, last few you can write down: stay organized or stay energized. I think it's been stated before, but it's all about your energy. Physically, mentally, and emotionally, are you present? Are you engaged? Are you fired up? You want to get more energy for your push? Yes or yes?
Yes.
All right, let me teach you how. It's about 3 fundamentals. First one is how much you eat and what you eat. By the way, just because you're busy is not permission to start eating junk food. Because you're busy, you should be food prepping. Because you're busy, you should be talking to your mom and dad about making you a lunch and asking them to. Because you're busy, you should go out to Costco or Sam's Club or Walmart now and buy a bunch of good types of food. Make your own trail mix bags, right? And have them as a grab bag. Make your own lunch every day. And if you do so, think about the energy and excitement that you would have for yourself. It's pretty sweet. The second thing energy is about is how much you sleep. Are you getting enough rest at night? Have a bedtime and go to bed, even when you're not tired, especially when you're not tired. Just lay down and shut your eyes. Just lay down and shut your eyes. Shut the lights off. You'd be surprised how much faster you go to sleep if you just got into routine, right? I'm an old guy, but my bedtime's 12 o'clock and my wake up time's 6 o'clock. And even up in the West Coast, right, I was going to bed at like 10 o'clock and I was waking up at like 4 a.m. out there, right? It's just because it's my, cycle, right? It's who I am. So again, stay energized based on eating, sleeping, and the third one, exercise. Exercise, exercise, exercise. I'm not going to tell you how much to exercise. I'm not even going to tell you how long, but I'm going to tell you need to do it. What could doing 15 push-ups and 15 sit-ups every morning do for you? What could waking up and just going on a 5 to 10 minute walk do for you? You'd be amazed. Get the heart rate up, get the blood flowing, and you'll be blown away at how much more energy you have. I believe that humans are like batteries. The more you deplete old batteries, the better they charge. Does that make sense? And for some of you, the reason you're not tired at night is because you didn't put enough into the day to win it. If you put more into the day, you deplete your battery more, it charges back up, and you have more energy for the next day. It's not surprising that people are super like health fanatics that are eating the right food, exercising frequently, and getting enough sleep are the people who typically have the most energy in their life. And the people who do the opposite of that typically don't have a lot of energy. You with me on that? So in this push, learn to control your energy, learn to influence your energy and level up. I'll also tell you when it comes to staying energized, what are you doing to read? What are you doing to learn? What are you doing to listen? What are you doing to journal? Steady emotions. They say that now success is not what they used to think of only 2 components, it's actually 3. In the past, they said success came from your personality, it came from your IQ, and that was it. But they found that there's a third link because there were people that didn't have the best IQs and didn't have good personalities, but they were still successful. You know what the third one was? Emotional intelligence. It's about how level you can stay with your emotions. I'll tell you and give you an example, right? If you're constantly on an emotional high and an emotional low and you're on this roller coaster, well, your line of emotions is going like this. And if you pretend this was a string and you pinch each line and you pull it, this is how much further you could have gotten. But you only got this far because you kept going high-low. If you can level that out even just a little bit, where you're not going up and down all the time, you'd be amazed how much further you can get because your emotions aren't getting in your way. So show up and have steady emotions. By the way, there's a great book called Emotional Intelligence 2.0. It's a quick read, and it's got 4 amazing, amazing tips on it that will help you become a better you. All right, last few here. Start strong. Pack your first 3 days full of demos. If you're going to start phoning for these half-day call days, how many can you get for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday? No demo is more important than your team meeting. Every Wednesday, you need to be going to your team meeting. I am not okay as a manager with you saying it was the only time they could do the demo. I'm sorry, I can't make the meeting. There's something called Cutco Karma that will hold you back from that. You don't want that. So again, stay energized, start strong, and make sure you pack that up. Don't forget a 1K Tuesday, free steak knife, 2K Tuesday, any piece of Cutco. What is that piece? I would even write that at the top of Tuesday and say, I'm going to win this piece this day. Whatever color, whatever handle, whatever edge you want, your manager buys it for you with a 2K day. Yes, any piece you want. No cookware, but any piece you want. Last couple here, never give up. 16 days. By the way, nobody respects those who give up. Everyone respects those who push to the end, regardless of the result. If you work just as hard on the 16th day as you did on the first day, everyone respects you. If you give up on the 8th day, even if you've already hit 10K, no one respects you. Respect is earned, not given. Outcome doesn't matter. It's about the experience and the effort, not the destination or the result. And the number 10 thing that I have for you is to have fun. So everybody say that together. What's number 10? Have fun. That's the whole point of this. It's to grow. And growth isn't easy. Growth isn't always fun. But you know what? On the day of victory, no fatigue is felt. So be the person who has a bunch of fun. Be the person who goes out there and finds a way and makes it happen. I'm going to wrap up real quick by reviewing the Alliance contract. Those of you in my office, you have a yellow sheet of paper. Those of you that are on Zoom, we're going to pull it up real quick. We're going to review it together as we go through. And I want you guys afterwards to do a public count-up visualization exercise as we wrap up our meeting. So here we go. Let's go through it. It says the 10K Alliance contract. If you're shooting for a different number, you can cross that out. This is not a written legal contract. If you don't hit it, you're not fired. It's for fun. Let's look through the commitments you're making. First off, it says, and you guys can read together with me, I am totally committed to the what? It will take to complete 40 plus appointments during the what? Push period. Yeah, I will help rally and support the other Alliance members so that we can all achieve more during this push period than we would without each other's support and what? Encouragement. I will do what it takes to achieve my goal. Yeah, so number 1, I will strive to complete 4 appointments every day during push with the possible exception of Sundays. I choose to use that as a day for calling. I recognize that by doing 40 appointments during the push, I am choosing a path that gives me a realistic chance at what? 10K. And that is the mission. That is the goal, bare minimum, right? And if you're shooting for 6, level up, let's hit 10. I will show up to all the phone jams with the focus of mission what? Names and numbers to call, and I will not leave the phone jam until I reach my goal of how many appointments? 4. Every single day, right? We're in a demo on the phone or at the office making more calls, but we're committing to working all out for the next 18 days. I will organize all of my leads before the what? And we do half-day call days now, which start on Friday, right? But again, I will organize all my leads. Last couple things on here, it says I will participate in the half-day call days. We talked about those earlier, but Friday 3 to 8, Saturday 10 to 3, Sunday 3 to 8, and Monday 5 to 9. Again, commit to making those calls, and it's about the slingshot effect, pulling it back so you can let it go and really blow up. Last few on here, it says I will have the recommendations approach and closing approach memorized before the start of what? Good. I will attend the daily Monday through Saturday Alliance meetings you can write down those are at 8 a.m., right? And they're either in the office or on Zoom. But again, I would go to your office because it's worth it and force your manager to be there. Again, try to beat your manager there. That's the goal. 15 minutes early is vector time, so show up at 7:45 so you can get settled, and meetings start at 8. Okay, I will show up with the expectation to book and complete immediate same-day appointments if I don't have any. I will call the office after every appointment during the push. I recognize that my results will inspire the rest of the team. I will also really recognize that I will sometimes have to force myself to get the encouragement when I need it most and when I need it the most. I will be totally accountable to the office. The time you will need to call your manager the most is probably the one time that you want to call them the least. So find a way, call your manager before, during, and after every demo. And by the way, stop being the person who feels like you're bragging about yourself by posting hot news out on the GroupMe. Post everything out on GroupMe. Now, don't be the complainer all the time, right? But post the process. Went to a client's house. They lived in a trailer park. I was talking to Bree about this. She walked into a demo a couple weeks ago. They lived in a trailer park. They lived in a trailer park. She walked in the demo, and her mindset was they're not going to buy because they live in a trailer park. And guess what happened? They bought an Ultimate set. That's what happened with steak knives. And to date, it's her biggest sale she's made yet. Never prejudge. You never know. You should walk into every single demo with the expectation that they're going to buy an Ultimate, because otherwise you'll never know. Does that make sense? So don't prejudge and find a way to be that mentality. Find a way to make sure that you're posting those results. And you know what? I would love for Bree to post that result when it happens. Hey, just got out of my demo. I walked up. It was a trailer park. I was super nervous and judging them. Didn't think they'd buy much. And then after doing the demo, they bought an Ultimate set with steak knives. Biggest sale yet. We want to thrive in each other's success, right? I challenge you to get your first or get your next, whatever that is, fill in the blank, right? That's what push is all about. It's about challenging yourself to have new experiences and new firsts. And some of those firsts are good. Some of those firsts are bad. Have your first day of all no sales. It's still a first. Have your first client that gives you 0 recommendations, buys nothing, and kicks you out. By the way, all the best, you know how they got to become the best? By failure. Marissa's been kicked out before. I've been kicked out. I had a lady that still went to the airport. She tried to lock my knives up in her house. I literally had to put my foot in the door crack and be like, lady, I know you're late for the airport, but I need my knives. And I went back to the table. She wouldn't even let me clean them. She's like, come on, come on, come on. I threw them just in like a sack and just brought them out. She was driving off her driveway while I was on the porch. I don't even know why it happened. One demo or one minute, she's like interested. In the next minute, I'm getting kicked out. I don't even know if she forgot about her flight, what the heck happened. But that's experience. You think you've had weird things? Talk to some of the veterans. You've got no freaking clue. You've got no clue. All right, let's wrap this up, right? If I struggle with adversity, I will talk to my manager to guide me through the what? The process. Good. I will commit blank amount to the Front Row Foundation efforts during the push. That's up to you, but I always like saying I will contribute to a charity and help out. I will work all the way through push and will stay focused on my goal. I am fully committed for 17 or 18 days, and I realize it's about the journey and the process, not necessarily the destination or the results. So all together as a squad, we are going to say this together as a group, and what I want you to say is my name is blank, whatever your name is. I want you to say it loud and proud. I want you to visualize. I want you to imagine that it's the end of push. You're up on stage. It's the countdown, and you have hit your goal. And they're doing the count up, 3K to 4K, 4K to 5K, 5K to 6K. People are yelling out, higher baby. And reps are walking down, realizing that they did not have the great push that they should have had because they didn't put in the effort, but you did. You committed to the process. You're still up on stage, and you have hit your goal. So we're going to say it as a group. We're going to say, my name is blank from blank office, and I just sold blank for push. So I'm going to say that again. My name is blank, right? I'm from blank office, and I just sold blank for push, whatever that goal is. 10, 15, 20,000. I don't care what it is, but I want to hear everybody loud and proud as we do this. So this is how we will wrap up. Sound good? Obviously, you won't be sitting on stage, so please stand up.
Please stand up. Please stand up. Please stand up.
Well, the real version of you, please stand up. The best version of you, please stand up. So we're going to say it loud and proud on 3. Again, my name is blank. I'm from blank office, and I just sold blank for push. One more time. My name is blank from blank office, and I just sold blank for push. Sound good? Loud and proud as a group with your conviction and commitment. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. My name is
$50,000.
Good. Well, that is how we will end this recording with a bunch of crazy people. Thank you for being